They unveiled you at the awards, lights blazing through the night, wardens wielding arcane fire, promising endless fight. 2 million faithful logged in, hearts ablaze with hype. January 26, we stepped into your light. But the servers grew quiet, players drifted away, reviews struck like thunder, not ready they would say. Roadmap torn asunder, silence from on high. 45 days later, oh, time, why'd you let it die? Oh, Highgard, you done flopped and fell, shutting down today, tolling that final bell. But I lift my hands to the sky, cry and praise God. How is this a live service dream? The Lord couldn't overpower. Highgard fell short, but Todd Howard never will. He's the God of every reload, standing on that hill. Oh mercy, through the lag I see. Only Todd's Highgard can truly set us free. Oh, devs chase that Bethesda glory, from apex to the stars. Pour their souls into the cold, but it didn't go far. Radio silence descended, promises turned to dust. The future seems so bright now, it's crumbling to rust. Gamers in the darkness, feeling that hollow ache. What we placed our hope in, it couldn't stay awake. But in this hour of shutdown, I kneel before the screen. Todd Howard, hear my prayer, keep the memes evergreen. Oh, Todd, have mercy on the builders of the dream. They tried with all their might, but it split at the seam. For every disappointed player, every crash campaign, remind us, oh great Howard, you still reign. Pixels fade to nothing, servers go offline, but your legend stands eternal through every patch divine. Oh, Highgard, you done flopped and fell, but I'm praising through the tears, yes I am, can't you tell? Praise Howard anyway, praise Howard still. My faith in the Todd Father, eternal thrill. Oh, thank you Todd Howard for the lesson in this game. Worldly launches crash hard, but your name remains the same. Highgard may be gone, servers dark and cold, but in the church of Howard the stories never grow old. Amen. Praise Todd. Shut it down, world. But Todd Howard rose. Shut it down, rose. Todd Howard rose. Shut it down, world. The true Highgard never flops. It just re-releases. Praise Howard. Hallelujah.
I'm vibing. I'm vibing.
I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd seen a deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre. mediocre scores. Just another space misfire echoed across the boards. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still somehow I'm considering when the next game's not, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I'll always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true.
Welcome, welcome, one and all. I've missed you. I've missed you indeed. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Hello. How we doing? For some reason, the YouTube chat's not showing up. Give me just a second. Give me just a second while I try to mess with that. Just a second. Because that's weird. That's very weird. Not sure why that would be the case, but it's doing that. In the meantime, while I try to fix that, how's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Everybody ready to be back? Dude, I've missed everybody. I wanted to hang out for so long. It's been too long, but here we are. Here we are. There, I think I found the button. I think I found what I did wrong. There it is. Twitch did get bullied into saying they would no longer enforce the chat separation thing, which is kind of funny. It's like a little funny they got bullied out of it. Everyone's like, okay, we just won't show Twitch chat. They're like, okay, never mind. Okay, you can show all the chats. That's fine. How are you guys? How's everybody? He's back in Clark Kent mode. Yeah, if you missed that video, somebody said when I take my glasses off, I look like a reverse Clark Kent. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss. I genuinely don't know. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here. I can't tell you why I was gone yet. But you know, soon, hopefully soon I can share everything. It was very cool. It was very fun. But in case anybody's wondering, I made a video where I said, guys, there are leaks that there's something going on with Starfield. I am not at the Starfield thing because I know where I was and I know where some of these people were. I also knew who was invited. So I was like, And then today it was confirmed. Boom, jump scare. Bethesda. Got you. No, friend of the channel, Jackson. He's awesome. If you don't know Jackson, he's a great guy. He was one of the people that was invited out to go to the studio in Maryland, shared some photos, including one thing. We'll talk about this in a second, but including one thing I thought was really funny. He found one of the original statues from the Interactive Achievement Awards, the IAAs, okay, when they won Game of the Year. Notice what game won the award. The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion. Even their statues have bugs, dude. Even the statues have bugs. It's unbelievable, but like literally, it's unreal. It's just, honestly, it's poetic. It's kind of beautiful when you think about it. When you think about it, it's pretty beautiful. It's stunning, brave, and beautiful. Yeah, shout out Boblivion. A bunch of other people saw it. Yeah, real life Easter egg. Yeah, on the trophy, they spelt Oblivion wrong. And Jackson said, I was looking through their trophy case and found that it'll always be Boblivion to me now. Yep, it is official. Now, whenever we talk about Oblivion, it's Boblivion, okay? Okay, officially locking it in. I'm also glad, real quick, thank you everybody. I'm glad to have Twitch back in the fold. I don't really know what was wrong for so long, but for a solid like 2 weeks, we couldn't get Twitch streaming working. I don't know what the deal is, but it's now working. So there we go. There we go. Also, update, just so everybody knows, I've gotten some feedback from some people that people are too generous and you're sending too many super chats. So I lifted the floor for TTS to 20. I will try to read all the super chats, but I raised the floor to 20 just to try and keep it so it's not as interrupting for people, okay? It's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong. It's a great problem to have. You guys are very generous. I appreciate you. But I did get some people saying like, hey, it's a little, it kind of breaks it up a little bit. So we'll try to do that. Don't ever feel the need to send money or anything though. I try to read whatever I see, but naturally, if you throw money at me, I will try to give you the priority on that. Yeah, sure will. Anyway, let me see what we got here. The Beard Machine, thank you for that super. I see I'm out of practice. Thank you for the sub over on Twitch, 11 months, ooh baby. Falco Rising, thank you for the sub. Ghost, thank you for the sub as well. Mart, thank you for the sub. Finally stream back on Twitch, yeah dude, for real. And then FCAR, thank you for the sub as well. Over on the YouTube side of things, real quick, G Mendez, good to see you, 14 months back and better than ever. Let us have it, Luke. Oh, I'm gonna let you have it. You're gonna take it and you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. I'm gonna make you look at cursed stuff like the Crimson Desert Fortnite crossover. Boom, jump scare. Got you. Yeah, apparently they're doing a Fortnite crossover because why not? At this point, why not? Yeah, yes, this is real. This is from the actual Epic Games Store thing. They are going to do a crossover with Fortnite. Honestly, if this is how they get like 9-year-olds to try AAA games on the outside of Fortnite, I respect the hustle. Maybe that is what it takes, just to be like, oh, is that Cliff from Fortnite? As much as that hurts you, like to hear, that might be the strategy. You know, it might actually be the strategy. Whatever they got to do. Let's see. Highgard song is your best work, not going to lie. Honestly, gospel song where you bring in memes about Todd, it's what you have to do.
At Caleb's92 donated $20 through Super Chat. This is Caleb's mom. This won't stop him from throwing you his dad's credit card number. I mean he has a problem. I
appreciate the problem. And I appreciate you being here, Caleb's mom, very much. It's always great to see you. You look wonderful today. Then again, everyone is Fortnite. Yeah, no, literally. Pretty much everybody is. Yeah. A month already. That time flies when you're having fun. Yes, Joker Quinn, thank you for the re-up on your membership, my friend. Time flies when you're having fun indeed. Wesley, thank you for that one. Did you hear about Denuvo drama on Crimson Desert? I think they did a bad move. ? I gotta dig in on it because it could be that they also are having concerns over leaks and things related to the review stuff. If you don't recall, there were a series of problems with not just data mined info, but also like stolen copies. Actually, maybe this wasn't made public, so I should be careful. But basically, in recent memory, there have been AAA games that have released, and they do like a 2-week, 3-week review period. but there was an oopsie on a recent, I won't say what, because I'm not sure if it's public, but there was a recent AAA game in the last couple of years where, I'm not joking, somebody literally like copy and pasted the game files, put it on like a Google Drive, and then started sharing it and like selling it. Which is insane when you think about doing that, like being a reviewer and then taking that risk. I think it wasn't like an individual. I think it was like somebody with like some magazine you've never heard of that got access to the game, but they started selling access to the files through this like Google Drive thing. It was a bit of a problem, a bit of a scandal. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if things like that are motivating it. I personally don't like Denuvo. I personally find it icky, and it doesn't always destroy performance, but especially on lower end PCs, it certainly doesn't help performance. And but I don't know what the long-term plan is. My guess is it's going to be one of those things where the game launches, they crack it within a day, and then they strip it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the broader context of why they're doing something like that. Because there's always some stupid person that ruins the fun for everybody. Tell you what. No glasses equals incogni mode. That's funny. That's funny. I did not realize I was in like the lobby of a hotel and somebody like did a double take that I know. And they were like, I didn't even recognize you without your glasses. I was like, is it that bad? Like, is it actually that bad? Do I look that different without glasses? Because I feel like my prescription's not that strong and then I don't look that different. But people were like, I didn't even recognize you. I don't think it's that significant, but apparently for some it is. Thank you, Bloody Anvil, for that 10. Who is Neo? Great question. Thank you for the 10 as well. We smoking on that Highgard pack today, Luke. I hope we smoke on Herman pack next. We'll see. We'll see. He's got friends in high places somehow. I don't understand it, but yeah, somehow he still has a job. I as for the Highgard thing, I don't know if you guys saw, but that developer who did that big long post defending everything and all of that kind of broke a bunch of stories. He came back to Twitter for the last like 2 days of the game's life, and he deleted his account again. So I said when he first deleted his account, I said I think that's the right move. He described himself as like a passionate autistic game developer. And I have family members that have autism. One of the things is that there's often when you have that, it can often lead to difficulties with like social awareness and things. So you can get yourself into socially difficult situations because you're just not seeing the cues and stuff. And I was like, there was no benefit to him being on social media. It was all negative. Like everybody was just jumping on his case and tearing him apart for the game. And it's like, there's a reason why everybody else didn't do that. There's a reason why everyone else got off social media and stayed quiet. I don't like that the internet works that way, but that's just how it is. So I think deleting the account was the right move. And it's how you do it. It's how you do it. Even like very well-known developers and industry people that you know and respect are not on social media super actively. They might have like an Instagram account. They might have something like that, but they don't, like they're not posting their day-to-day on Twitter because it's Twitter, you know? Yeah, it's just when in doubt, it's especially when you're surrounded by something like a Highgard situation, probably just steer clear. It's probably not worth the trouble to go out and try and play defense, you know. Let the PR people do that. Zach, thank you for the 5. Luke, just myself bought a 4K OLED monitor, and holy crap, life-changing, replaying Cyberpunk and Far Cry 5. Yep, you just ruined all other monitors for yourself. Congratulations. I know how it feels. Once you go OLED monitored, bro, there is no going back. You have officially spoiled yourself. Get ready. Get ready. Yeah. Did I watch Jeff Kaplan on Lex Friedman? I haven't watched the entire thing, but I do have the clip somewhere. But yeah, we'll touch on the clip because it's a prime example of what's happened in the last like probably decade just about decade. Once some of these executives got a taste of that live service money, ooh baby. Ooh baby. It's madness. It's madness. Darth, thank you for the membership re-up as well. Hawking, also thank you for the 12 months. Oh, a full year. Oh, baby. Welcome back, Luke. So how was GTA 6? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Now you know people are going to clip them and be like, so Luke did play GTA 6. No. No, man. No. Razor, thank you for the 5. Not sure if you talked about this before, but are combat combos in Crimson Desert difficult to learn or get used to? I don't think so. Playing the game for the 6.5 hours I did at the preview event, after like 2 to 3 hours, it had fully clicked for me. Now, granted, I had played the game before, but it plays differently than a lot of games you are used to, which is okay. But that just means that, like, I think if you're a diehard Soulsborne player, you're going to struggle getting into the combat more than the average player, because you're going to try to play it the way you play those games. And that's just not how it works. So, but yeah, it's not that difficult. And to be fair, it's also as easy or complicated as you want to make it. If you want to just bash heavy attacks, you can do that. You're probably not going to be as good or get through as like boss fights as easily as other like players who are using all of the tools at their disposal, but you could just brute force it that way. But if you want to learn the nuance and some tricks and stuff, you can have a lot of fun. I said right after the preview event, I was like, this is going to be the game for those channels that do little gameplay tips and tricks. Like, that's going to be the bread and butter, is like, the most powerful weapon in Crimson Desert is hidden behind this waterfall. All you have to do, like, you know, the types of videos, those are going to go crazy for this game, I think. Just all the little bitty hidden tidbits. Like, it's going to pop off. It's going to pop off those videos. Tell you what. Let's see. Are you going to talk about the Crimson Desert trailer? We are going to talk about the console performance thing that they shared, because Digital Foundry posted their first video on it. So we are going to touch on that. You better believe it. My computer is like weirdly laggy. It's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about all the things that we have going on. I cannot wait to talk about it, because I have a lot to say. Tell you what, but time will tell. Patience. Windows, am I right? Yeah, literally, dude. You do an update and it's like, this should make it better. And it's like, no, it broke 15 things. Thank you, Satya. Love that. It's lagging because I have GTA 6 installed. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize. That explains it. Luke, if Marathon couldn't break 100K peak, I truly fear for Horizons and Hunter's Gathering, says Buttery Cheeks. I won't be too specific, but I mentioned this to you guys before. I've spoken to multiple people who are either directly involved in making the game or who have played it in some capacity. And even among the people who are making it, I have not found a single person who likes it. Like, I think they're hoping that it eventually clicks and becomes fun and enjoyable, but like, all of the feedback I've heard about it is like what are we doing? It is a game. It is a live service game in search of an audience and in search of fun, and that's not great. You usually want to start with, this is really fun, let's turn it into a full game. That's not what's happened here. So I would bet you very good money the Horizon game is going to do significantly worse than Marathon, unless something significant changes. Because even now, you've seen it. Like, I even have the video. Hold on. Please hold. Yeah, this one. This guy, if you don't know, if you are not familiar with his game, this is Arctic's Arctics. He is a really cool guy. Met him a couple times. And he does a lot of coverage on, like similar to Joe Raptor, does a lot of like coverage of open world games and things like that. And he's a big fan of, shocker, as you can see behind him, Horizon. And he was invited to the first preview thing that they did. But I'll just let him lead into this.
Whoa. So here we are on a random Thursday, and finally, after years of us knowing it's been in development but not seeing anything concrete about it, Horizon Hunters Gathering, this is the Horizon Online project from Guerrilla Games, has finally been revealed officially. And I have a lot of thoughts, and I know you do too. So we're going to watch this trailer together, and I'm also going to dive into some of my thoughts on it and what I'm seeing people reacting to and all of that. But first,
And I do want to say, like, you should absolutely go and follow and see like his whole video and everything. He has played it, he said, but he can't really talk much about it. But like, listen to this little tidbit too.
was revealed. I didn't know that it was happening. I wasn't intentionally a much lower key reveal through this blog post and just having the trailers go live, and also announcing that they're going to be doing a play test at the end of this month. So I think, and I hope, that they are very open to feedback, and they're kind of in a spot right now where they just want to get it out there and they want to get people's input on it, which is a positive thing. Even if you're feeling like this is not what you want to see from the game, it's not really what I want to see from the game in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about it. The other thing I can talk about on the playtest stuff, because it's out there now, because Joe Raptor shared it in one of his videos, there actually was a second playtest that I was not invited to. Now, just being totally candid and honest with you guys, it definitely stings a bit to not have even known about the second playtest until today when the game was revealed. I didn't know that it was happening. I wasn't invited to it. But truly, I think the reason for that is not because they were like trying to keep me out of it, but because what you typically do with playtests like this for any game is you often rotate who's in the playtest to get like different perspectives and different people's opinions and different people's input.
This is true. I've also seen it if they feel like you are just not who they are targeting and your feedback is therefore not viable or valuable, rather. Like, they'll just cut you out. Be like, never mind. Because look at this. Look at this.
So I'm not that upset about not having been invited to the second playtest, but there's a takeaway here too. And that is, if you look at this photo.
Honest question. Of course, we all recognize Jor. It's hard not to recognize Jor, frankly. We all know Jor. Love him. He's fantastic. Love me some Jor. I recognize Jor and Storm. Okay, you've probably seen a lot of her like short form stuff, YouTube shorts, stuff like that. Do you recognize, honest question, just honest question, do you recognize anybody else? And I'm saying this as somebody in my own bubble, okay? In my own bubble. I don't recognize anybody. And I think that's because these are primarily what are called variety streamers. So they play a lot of like smaller, maybe indie games. They play a lot of, variety. They play a lot of different stuff. They are not all in on Horizon. They're not all in on PlayStation games. They're not all in on open world stuff. They're variety streamers. It's also like the vast majority of the people there are also women, which I just find interesting because you don't typically see that in gaming. Usually it's usually a male-led thing because there's a lot of dude gamers out there, you know? So I found the selection of who they have here quite interesting. And I was trying to figure out like, okay, well, what does that imply? Like if they cut Arctics out of it, because he says he was in the first wave when it was smaller and they did previews and stuff late last year. I think he suggested it was like October or something. And then they cut him out and they bring in more variety streamers. I think, sorry, I saw one of the comments. I think what that suggests is that they realize that this is not going to appeal to Horizon fans. That Horizon fans are not digging it, which is something I can say for a fact that I also have experienced and seen. For example, Jor Raptor, the king himself. Jor Raptor. when Jor talked about this game, he described it as being like a massive disappointment.
After 8 years of development, Guerrilla Games has finally revealed the next big Horizon game they are working on, and yes, succeeds. Now, they've only shown gameplay of these 3 characters so far, and that's because the upcoming closed test they announced will only feature these
Thank you,
heroes.
Windows.
We will have to wait a bit.
Oh my god, it's not working.
Longer for information on the remaining 3. But yeah, it seems that Sony has really learned from Concord and their other live service projects that inviting people...
Have they though? Have they? Did they though?
...to play earlier in the development cycle is actually smart, because that allows them to incorporate feedback and improvements before release. Now, I was also part of a creator council for the game. I got to see and play it 2 times over the last 5 months and give my feedback. By watching this video and my reaction video, you can kind of guess what that feedback was, but I of course also focused on actually making the game that they are trying to create better. So multiple things. For one, let me know what you think of this review.
His initial reaction.
The Horizons...
Hold on, Joe Raptor, react. Hold on. Let's find it. Yeah, literally in the thumbnail, I am really disappointed.
Yeah, I think there are like two ways to approach, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, of course, on this as well. I will totally be revisiting this. I want to probably do a video where I go over your comments, because I'm very curious. Like, I want to like kind of tell a bit of a story about, from what I can tell. So, Guerrilla Games reached out earlier to me and other creators to see the game and give feedback. So that's very good that they bring in people from the Horizon community, and
which I think is what they did. They decided we need to get feedback. We didn't do that with Concord. It didn't happen with Highgard. Let's try that and give it a shot. Get feedback so we know what people think before it's too late. They did that in October. They got Joe Raptor and Arctics and other people who haven't been made public. They got their feedback on the game. And then they didn't invite some of those people back. Presumably, I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess Arctics probably wasn't that thrilled about what he saw and probably told him. And so they didn't invite him back. And instead, they're focusing on a community of like variety streamers, which to me shows very clearly that they're basically giving up on the Horizon fandom to make the game like work and click, which is bizarre, but that seems to be what they're doing. And I don't know how that's going to work. I genuinely don't know. I think it's bizarre. I think it's really bizarre and doesn't really make sense. Now, again, I encourage you to watch the whole Arctics thing about the game and everything, because it's very interesting. But he has a bunch of little tidbits in here that are very interesting. Like even this one about the characters, okay?
I think are definitely a problem. I can understand why they wanted to have distinctive characters as opposed to like just letting us make our own avatar. I would personally prefer to just make my own player avatar. I think they probably want player characters so that they can like give them backstories and stuff. But like,
no, I know why they did this. Why does every studio love heroes in their games? Can I get an answer in chat? Can somebody take a wild guess? Why would a studio making a live service game like Heroes? Skins. Yes, skins. It's a lot easier to do skins for a set dedicated hero than a make your own character creator thing. Merchandise, sure. Movie rights, TV shows, all of it. But let's be honest, that's why they're doing this, okay? They could say, well, we just really believed in telling unique, original stories. Bullshiz. Don't believe you. I don't believe you. Maybe at some point that was a consideration, like, but you know how it's like when you've decided you're going to do something and then you come up with 5 other reasons to justify it, even though the real reason is maybe not one you'd want to talk too much about. You know, it's literally the live service thing where they make a live service game that none of their audience, or even according to some of the people I've talked to, a lot of the developers are not interested in this. They're not happy about working on this for years. But then they say, well, we've always wanted to explore other game modes and other things we could do with the franchise and all that. And it's like, yeah, but it's because Herman called you up and told you that you were going to do this, that you needed to do this. Let's be completely honest about it. Okay? Like, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining when I know it's piss, because that's what this is. You know, I find that just really, really infuriating when it's like, you know, don't believe your lying eyes and ears. Just believe what the giga corporation's telling you. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure they're going to be totally real about it.
This character here, let me just rewind that really quick. This lady here, why her and why not just Petra? Like, why aren't we playing as characters that already exist within the Horizon world that we already all love and know and have?
It's because they're trying to be innovative, give you access to players that really make you feel like a new tier of character. Like, if you've ever wanted to play a game as an actual Teletubby, you can do that now. You know? In Concord, I don't know about you guys, I ask all the time, I want to play as a trash can. And they let you. It's about escapism, really.
Already exist within the Horizon world that we already all love and know and have backstories and are part of the canon. Why do we need, I'll back up again, why do we need these brand new people that we know nothing about? And there is going to be a story campaign that you can play solo for this game. It's not going to be in the playtest. And so maybe they will convince me that I like these characters through the story campaign. But right now, I just think it comes across as like, we're just introducing these crazy hero characters all of a sudden. She has like a force field that Aloy doesn't even have. That's the other thing, is they have these abilities that even Aloy doesn't have, which just kind of breaks down her being like the pinnacle hunter, the apex hunter of the Horizon world. This character I think is pretty cool. It seems like she has like a stalker companion. I think that's kind of cool. This character's name is Sun, and she's pretty cool too, I think. So like there.
Yeah, to be clear, there is like actual Horizon fans have a problem with characters being introduced who are significantly better than Aloy at a bunch of different things. And they just never really acknowledge it, because Aloy is supposed to be at the pinnacle. She's supposed to be different. And so if you then have like a marshmallow running around that is better at different things than Aloy is, it's a problem. It's a problem, you know? It makes Aloy less important and less impressive, which is an issue. It's also, you have to ask yourself, okay, why did they choose? Because they chose to go with this route. They chose to go with new characters from the outset, okay? Before all this. You got to remember, they worked on this game for like 5 or 6 years, okay? It's been in the works since like right at COVID, pre-COVID era, okay? So rewind your mind to that time before you had Concords, Suicide Squads. Like, we're talking before any of that had launched, before much of it had even been revealed. So back then, they chose to go with brand new hero characters and everything, probably inspired by games like Overwatch, Rainbow, things like that we're finding a lot of success with that archetype. And they chose to go with this. Now, what I find fascinating about that is because choosing different characters than the core cast of Horizon seems to me to be intentionally done to avoid or separate the game from like the base Horizon games, to make it a separate thing, which is interesting. Because if you're trying to appeal to that fandom to come in and give you an automatic player base, it doesn't make sense why you are pivoting away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels weird to target a totally different audience before they knew that audience would be turned off by this. Maybe they were just ahead of the curve and they knew, hey, I don't think Forbidden West and Zero Dawn players, because at this point when they started this, Forbidden West hadn't even launched yet. So maybe they already knew that this probably wasn't going to have a lot of audience overlap, but it's just a bizarre choice.
On her being like the pinnacle hunter, the apex hunter of.
Kartoffel says, good to see you, my friend, by the way. They even said this is going to be lore accurate. Can you imagine these characters being included into the Horizon 3 storyline? Good Lord. Bro, how would they even do that? Like, see why it upsets people? Like, it just starts to break things. It just starts to break things. And my guess, I don't have a source for this. This is just, call it a hunch. My guess is that they were told, we need you to do a live service game, because Jim Ryan and Herman Holst, they were telling everybody to do a live service game. Even like monolithic studios like Naughty Dog, who are regularly dropping Game of the Year contenders, they said you're going to work on The Last of Us Online. Like Naughty Dog could have already had one game out by now and probably be about to release a second one if they hadn't been forced to spend and waste all of that time. And so I'm guessing that they told Guerrilla, you're going to do that after Forbidden West. And after that, you're going to do this. And we need it to be a hero-based game because that has huge monetization potentiality. And you're going to do that. And so it's got to be a set of characters. We also think that it should be brand new characters that we can really go crazy with when it comes to skins and monetization and stuff. And we're going to do all this. And you can just start to see how an executive might start to describe that. And it could lead to this situation. And if you doubt me, I want to bring up this. This is a clip that has been making the rounds, which is like absolutely crazy. But this is from it's Jeff. What's his last name? The former head guy of Overwatch. What's his name? Jeff Kaplan. Okay, look at this. This is a clip that he did talking about his departure from Blizzard. Okay, this is something that happened in the same era that all of these live service games were greenlit. Okay, watch this.
And would it boil down for me, like what sort of ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called in the CFO's office.
Also, just so you know, he worked at Blizzard. Sorry.
And he sits me down and he says, he gives me a date, which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make in 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do $, we're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you. And would it boil?
That's how these big corporations are actually run. Okay? That's how it's actually run. Is some bigwig CFO sits down and says, you need to achieve $50 million a year, $100 million a year, whatever the number is. It's not particularly important. The point is, it was a big number. And if you don't, I'm going to fire 1,000 people and it's your fault.
$20 through Super Chat. Hey, Luke. I feel like a problem that doesn't get brought up enough on how games don't make enough money back is because of the exorbitant amount of money they spend on the game. For example, Spider-Man 2 and FF7 Rebirth.
Yeah, I do think so. That is a piece of this puzzle. What is crazy about the high demand of return is also that they have to more than make up for the development costs. Games like Spider-Man 2 costing $300 million. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that math doesn't math. That doesn't really work. You're eating a lot of cost on that. I genuinely don't understand how they could get to that cost for the game they ended up putting out. Like, I don't know if they're just paying people $150,000 a year for what industry standard rates would be like a $50,000 or $60,000 job. I don't know if their pay is just crazy high. I don't know if it's that they are spending a lot of time in incubation and prototyping that wasn't needed. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it, but I think we can all agree $300 million for like a 12-hour game is insane. Especially when you compare it to other games like KCD 2 was put together for like 40 or 50 million, which is crazy. It's like actually crazy. Adidas guy says, yeah, Wukong, hold on, I gotta scroll up. Wukong cost 75 million and made $1 billion. Wukong is peak and games don't need to be more than that. Well, I mean, it's just, there's clearly a difference in their budgeting and how this actually worked out. The numbers don't work. I think there was also at one of their, yeah, let's see. I don't see it. I'll have to dig, we'll circle back to it. I have to dig into it because in one of the financial filings that Pearl Abyss did at one of their earnings calls, they talked about how much they've spent on Crimson Desert so far, and it was way less than you would think, like way less. And it was just very interesting to be like, what? But anyway, circling back to this. I just think across the board, this whole thing is kind of a dumpster fire and kind of a mistake. And I think it's really telling, like more than anything, I think hearing Arctics talk about it is very interesting because he knows Horizon better than 99% of people out there. And he's left disenfranchised and frustrated, but also specifically seeing who they are bringing in to get feedback on this latest round. I think this tells you more than anything who they're trying to appeal to. This game, they're not trying to appeal to PlayStation fans, Horizon fans, none of that. They're trying to appeal to the casual gamer, the people on the outside of the PlayStation bubble, the Horizon bubble. And they're hoping that those more casual players will get in there. And to be fair, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them out there, but they are clearly, and the data backs it up, they're entrenched in what they play. Like it's a lot harder to pull a Fortnite player over from Fortnite to play your game than it is to pull a Horizon player to play your Horizon game. You know, that's a lot trickier. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, they did have a playtest. They did have a closed playtest at the end of February, a couple of weeks back. Based on my estimations of the data that we have, it looks like on PC, they only invited probably 600 to 800 people out, which is less than I've seen before for tests like that. That would suggest probably one of two things. Number one, the game is farther out than we thought. So if it's farther out, they'll do smaller tests and then the tests will get bigger as they get closer to launch. As we saw, even with Marathon, where they did a really small test after the initial summer reveal or April reveal, and then it expanded as they got closer to launch. That could be part of it. It could also be that the interest is just really low. So they just frankly didn't have that many people. But it's going to be fascinating to see how that goes. But if I had to put money on it, I'm guessing we'll have another gospel song written pretty soon. Yeah, because it's supposed to launch this year. We'll see. Sorry, I know that came from like one super chat and then I just rambled about it for 45 minutes.
Donated 100 Saudi riyals
Saudi.
for super chat. Marathon sacrifices fun for bloat. Designed for MTX and engagement KPIs over player experience, its number 45 Steam rank suggests a grim future without change.
All right, it stopped reading. Kaplan's insights likely mirror the reality at Sony and Bungie. Yeah, to be clear, this is not just a Blizzard thing. This is an industry-wide thing. Because again, like I've take a shot, everyone take a shot. I have a corporate finance degree. There you go. It'll get you a little pick-me-up right there. The whole basis of this is 4 years of education right here, okay? All of corporate financial anything is number go up, we are happy. If number go down, we are angry. If number stay flat, we are still a little bit less angry. This is the only acceptable outcome, is if the number goes up. If your number stays flat, you're dying. If it's going down, you're dying. If it's not accelerating as fast as it used to, you're dying. Okay? It has to always go up, no matter what. And that's why you get this feeling of like, when is enough enough? Like if you're making billions, how is this not enough? Like, how are we still pushing for more and more and more? And it's literally this. It's literally this. Now, part of it is tied back to something that like actually Warren Buffett has complained about. Warren Buffett has actually pushed and lobbied for taking and restructuring how corporate reporting works. So on publicly traded companies, you have to report your financials. I believe it's true globally, but in the US, it's at least this way. Maybe there's some country out there where it doesn't apply. But in the US, it works where every quarter, you have to report your financials for Q1, for Q2, for Q3. And that means that every 3 months, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on your numbers. What does that mean effectively? It means that you can never really take a long-term approach to running your business because you're always worried, instead of going from Q1 results all the way to Q4 or to next year's Q1, you're always worried about what's happening in the next 3 months, which is why this becomes the norm, why everything just becomes about number go up, number go up, number go up. Because if the number drops from Q1 to Q2, stays flat to Q3, and then for Q4, it explodes super high, that doesn't matter, because right here and right here, they're just going to see that the numbers went down or stayed flat. And so Warren Buffett has tried to petition for this to change and to basically cut out Q2 and Q4 and to just do twice a year reporting, basically at the start of the year and middle of the year, call it good. And I think that would be way better for a lot of these companies, but it's also why you can see like privately held gaming companies, they don't fall for the same stuff. They don't do the same type of thing because they don't need to. They're not beholden to some shareholder that's demanding the number go up every few weeks, But anyway, it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes. But the thing with live service was that it was seen at like 5 to 6 years ago, it was seen as a fairly safe bet. If you spent 100 or 200 million on a live service game, it would explode. That's not true anymore. If anything, right now, there is a bizarre like contempt for big budget live service where people see like the more you spent on it, the harder you try to make it a thing, the less they like it, the more turned off they get because it's seen as desperate. It's seen as like cringe. Like, stop trying to make it a thing. It's not a thing. It's not fetch. Fetch is a thing. This ain't a thing. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes. But I think effectively, we're just going to see live service stuff slow down a lot. They're going to pivot and try to find a different way to make the number go up. And honestly, I think a lot of that is going to come into spending a lot of money in Eastern developers. Western developers are plagued by things like unions and work-life balance and livable wages, things like that are expensive. Eastern studios in like China, for example, dude, they can come out, they'll have 2,000 people working on the next Black Myth Wukong. They pay him a Happy Meal and a pat on the back, and that's it. And they'll pump that game out faster than a Western studio can. It'll probably be better because they're not burdened by any sort of cultural baggage. And they're largely, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are still privately held. They haven't been scooped up yet. And that changes things. You know, that just changes things. The average salaries in China for game developers are way lower than you would think, especially because you got to remember a lot of these big studios in Western markets are based in like Montreal. They're based in San Francisco. They're based in Paris. They're based in pretty expensive places to live. So the average salaries have to balance that out. That's not a good thing. Oh, to be clear, there's a difference between what I think the reality is and what I would like to be the case if I was the God King Emperor of gaming. If I had a magic wand to wave it, I'd be like, no, everybody gets a livable wage. Bing. We don't waste time on live service crap that nobody wants. Bing. You know, I'd go through all these things. But I'm, unfortunately for all of us, I'm not the God King of gaming, so I can't do that. But I think when you are like one of these big wig executives and you're like, where do we put $500 million? I think they're way more likely to throw it at a small studio in China where their money goes a lot farther than give it to somebody in Montreal and hope that they have the 1 in a million successful live service game, you know? I think that's just how it is. You know, I don't like it, but that's how it is, I think. Let's see. World of Warcraft still makes 600 to 700 million annually. Yeah, but is the number going up? Is it going up? That's the problem. Yeah, send all your money to China. Got it, Luke. Yeah, just put all your money in an envelope. China. Send it off. Luke told me to. What? I don't understand. I don't understand. Speaking of something I don't understand, you ready? Jump scare. Starfield. Got you. Real quick, I'll just touch on this real quick and then we'll circle back. I'll catch up on all the super chats and everything. Appreciate you guys. But I just want to get this out of the way because it did happen this morning and I just want to be like official with it. So I was traveling over the course of this week. I was at a place doing a thing that I cannot tell you about, but I am now back. Exhibit A. I am back. However, while I was over there, there were people that were also traveling, but were not where I was. And that got me thinking, where are they? Well, it became very clear where they were. There were people that were already leaking things like that. There were previews going on for Starfield, that people were seeing changes within the back end of the Steam version of Starfield. It's also been rumored for a while that that there's going to be things like they're going to do a PS5 patch and release it over there for $50 and $70 for the premium edition, all of this stuff. But then this morning it was actually confirmed. This was the first one I saw. Jackson, friend of the channel, really cool guy. Love me some JV. He posted this. If you told 13-year-old me that he would one day visit the studio that makes his favorite games, he wouldn't have believed you. I got to go there and I still can't believe it. Can't wait to share more soon. And he shared these pictures. And to be clear, I did not go. My restraining order prevents me from getting that close to Todd. It's unfortunate. I'm kidding. I don't have a restraining order yet, but I did not go to this. Shocker, they did not invite the guy that made an 8-hour critique of the game to the Starfield preview. Like, yeah, no, he's too far gone. So JV went, he shared a bunch of photos. He found this station, which he says in one of the comments that this isn't actually like, yeah, it wasn't running, but we really wanted to give it a go. So they apparently built this where it's like, I guess some sort of game station for it. I don't know if this is from an event or like Gamescom or something, but yeah, apparently it wasn't working. But he also found this, the 10th annual Interactive Achievement Awards Computer Game of the Year presented to The Elder Scrolls 4 Boblivion. And so, as we said at the start of the stream, from now on, we are calling it Boblivion, okay? Even their trophies have bugs. From years and years ago. You can't make this up. It's fantastic. Also, just a reminder that back in the day, Oblivion, sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Boblivion was published by 2K. How crazy is that? Throwback, man. Throwback. Isn't that crazy? But they invited some other people. Now, I don't know most of the people they brought. I'm not familiar with Renfail, who seems to be one of the people that was brought out, but this is what he posted. Okay, let's see.
What's up, everybody? I'm back. I went to Bethesda Game Studios for an in-person Starfield event, and it was good. It was fun. And now all of you who call me a paid shill, you might actually have some legs to stand on
Okay.
when we talk about it, because I got cool swag that I got to bring home from the event, and a whole bunch of super special secret details that I can't share with you yet. You're just going to have to wait, because that's how this works. But it was a really awesome time. It was a whirlwind of a trip, and I have no voice left. I haven't slept in like 4 days, but it was totally worth it, and I cannot wait to share what's coming down the pipeline for Starfield in the future. But y'all gotta wait. That's how these things work. I don't control the flow of information. All I can sit here is grin and be like, oh my god, y'all, I can't. It's just it's so good, so good. Can't wait to share. Stay tuned, everybody.
Seems like a cool guy. Genuinely seems like a cool guy. I want to see what kind of stuff he does typically. I'm guessing, let's see, it's popular videos are like guides on RPGs, like old school RPGs, Mass Effect let's plays, Starfield comparison videos. Yeah, he just looks like a let's player who does like deep dive stuff on RPGs and things like that. Even looking at Crimson Desert stuff. Why Starfield is my favorite Bethesda game of all time. Todd's like, get him in here. Now, I do want to be clear, okay? I want to be clear. I think it's pretty clear what this event was a chance for them to go and to show whatever this update is to the community that likes the game. Because as they've said, who said Maddie in 40 years? How dare you? Which would be great. Don't get me wrong. Like, this guy seems really chill. I don't actually know if Maddie went. I don't know if he said anything. It would kind of surprise me if he didn't go. But no post about it. Maybe he did go and he didn't say anything. I don't know. Same thing with like Juicehead. Let's see. Did Juicehead go? He retweeted it. Oh yeah, he did. Got the opportunity to do something very, very cool. Excited to talk more about Starfield soon. Stay tuned. Yeah, Maddie replied, deserved. Excited to see what you have cooking. So I'm guessing maybe Maddie didn't go, but I don't know. That doesn't mean he wasn't invited. It just means that he might have been busy doing something else. But I think what they're doing here is pretty clear. This is an update that is meant to bring back in Starfield players who have previously left the fold. Okay, that's what it's trying to do. And honestly, they kind of need to. The player counts have just been steadily getting worse and worse, and this is not the chart that they were hoping to see with Starfield. Bear in mind, they were saying before it launched that they wanted it to one day be on the level of their other games. Like right now, Fallout 4, which is way older, has seen like a pretty lively player base. Like I don't think it's ever in a single month dropped as low as Starfield is and has been for a year. Like Starfield, no, even back in May of 2024, April of 2024, it was below, as of January 2024, just a few months after launch, it had already dropped below the all-time low point of Fallout 4. Like, that's crazy. So they want to turn this around because, again, the whole thing about Bethesda stuff is that their games are played for decades. And that's what helps them pay the bills because you're still playing it and you're still spending money on paid mods, which are basically just microtransactions. Because Bethesda games weirdly have gone from just big open sandbox games with a lot of adventure and you find them interesting through mods and stuff. Now they're basically massive sort of live service weird single player MMOs, sort of. Like, they're constantly updated through paid mods, but Bethesda doesn't have to make any of those mods. They just create the store to sell them to you, and then they get a cut, according to some reporting, as much as a 50% cut of everything that's sold on those stores. So they make really, really good money. And with Fallout 4, they're still getting tons of people involved, tons of people still playing it. Of course, with Elder Scrolls, with Skyrim, they're still seeing that. With Oblivion, with even the remaster that launched last year, they're still, capitalizing on that. But with Starfield, it just never clicked in that same way. Now, you could say maybe the player base is much more in line with like Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate, so a lot more players are playing there, which I think is fair. I think there's probably a good number of players playing there compared to Fallout 4, which launched before Game Pass. But still, I think that it's not controversial to say Starfield has not lived up to what they wanted it to achieve. Fair? I think that's fair. So this update is meant to bring those players back, which is what Todd said in that interview with Greg Miller, who also, I believe, was at this event. Greg Miller. Okay, I don't understand what I'm looking at. Okay, I thought he posted a picture, but I don't see anything about it. Maybe he didn't go. Maybe I'm making that up. I thought he did go. I'm pretty sure maybe it's on Kind of Funny. I'm pretty sure that Greg went to the Starfield event. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I guess I don't see the picture. I don't know where I saw that then. I'm like 95% sure he went. I just don't have a picture of it. Anyway. So when Todd did that interview with Greg Miller, Todd Howard, I almost said Todd Miller. Here, 3 weeks ago. Let me find in the transcript the full thing. Okay. He said 2.0. Let me see if I can find that.
On this or talk about this, but you're allowed to say you saw it. And so now for like the last 4 months, every so often one of them says that, people flip out thinking it's Starfield 2.0 and what's going where are we, what's going on with Starfield?
No, first of all, thanks for the Reddit comment there. I'm a big Redditor, so I do read Reddit a lot. It's my
I'm not making any jokes. I didn't make any jokes. I didn't. Todd just likes Reddit. I didn't say anything. Shut up. I didn't say. Todd is a lesbian. Dude, that weirdly reminds me. I had a math teacher in high school who got like actually in trouble with the school board, and like they reprimanded him because in a class he said, if I were a woman, I'd be a lesbian. And apparently one of the students went back to their home and like their very Catholic parents and told them this thing he had said and got him in trouble with the school board for like talking about, I guess, sexual preferences in class. And he's like, no, I like women. If I were a woman, I would still like women. So I would therefore be a lesbian. He's like, why is this a problem? It was the most stupid controversy within the whole school ever. That's a throwback, man. I can't, that's so funny. That just came back in my brain. Sorry, that's total tangent. But yeah, that for some reason made me think of that. It was Mr. Luce just being like, yeah, if I were a woman, I'd be a lesbian. That's just how it would be. But like, dude, this Catholic family lost it. They lost it. It was very funny. Yeah, anyway, that was stupid. Yeah, that's a throwback. Anyway, I just inhaled my own throat. Continue on. Yeah, same. I like women. I guess I'd be a lesbian too.
my sort of favorite signal to noise, platform as it comes to that stuff.
Which again, I won't belabor the point. Todd saying that Reddit is the best signal to noise platform that he knows of, I find crazy. Like the idea that Reddit gives you unbiased information that's not filled with noise, and like I don't understand how you could possibly think that in 2026, but it explains a lot.
And yeah, look, obviously we've been working on a lot of Starfield content. We haven't talked about it yet because, you know, the end of last year too is particularly for us. We sort of period of time where we focus on IPs or franchises, and Fallout really obviously dominated the fall and a little bit in early this year. You've seen it, and I can tell everybody we're going to be talking about it, you know, really soon. We're moving into a phase where we're ready to talk about Starfield.
Okay.
And really show that in the right way and what's coming to the game. We've been doing a lot of work that we like a lot. It is not Starfield 2.0. You know, I've seen some of that, so I don't, you know, for expectation setting, I think it's the kind of thing where if you love Starfield, we think you're going to love this. It's, you know, updates and things that, you know, change the game, you know, not in an isolated way, but sort of, you know, meta.
Sure.
Using outer space and things in ways that we haven't. But look, if Starfield's something that, you know, didn't connect with you right away, or you bounced off it or found it boring in places, I don't think this is going to change that fundamentally. But if you're someone who loves Starfield, like you, Greg,
Yeah.
we think it's really, really, we're really happy with it. We like it a lot.
And this is why I think it worked out the way that it did. Why we saw the people invited that they invited. Oh my God, I clicked the wrong button. Stop. The reason we saw this go the way that it has with the people that they brought out is because it's not going to win over people that found the base game lackluster. It's not going to win them over. People like you, people like me. It's just not for us. This is an update targeting the people who said Starfield is their favorite Bethesda game. It's towards people that really, really liked it, that were really stoked on it. Because the idea, I also don't think he was supposed to show that, because I'm pretty sure this is the artwork for the new expansion. At least part of the artwork. I don't think he was supposed to show this. Anyway, I think it's pretty clear that this is about trying to bring people back, not necessarily new people in. And I think that's a good strategy, because if they can get people back to hype it up, that will give good word of mouth that might help people on the PlayStation side of things come in, get excited, see it trending on Twitter and stuff, and give it a shot. So I think they're marketing it the best way that they could. I don't think it would have made sense for them to prioritize getting more critical people there, because it's not an update for critical people. They know if you don't like Starfield, you're not going to magically start liking it, because they covered up the load screens with a little splash screen. Okay. I just don't expect it. I still am going to make a video on it, because of course I am. And we're going to try it. I hope it makes it way better. I hope it makes the game fantastic, stunning, brave, and beautiful. We'll see though. We'll see. We'll give it a shot. My expectation is that their embargo will launch potentially right around the same time the review embargo lifts for Crimson Desert, which would be stupid. But my expectation is it might be the same day or the day before that they're able to talk about it. But once that happens, it probably doesn't launch until early April. They might drop the update on Steam and Xbox and then bring the game to PlayStation in early April. But most of the leaks are suggesting that it launches on PlayStation on April 7th. I don't know why they would want to do like a 2-week pre-order period for it, but maybe they know something I don't about PlayStation players pre-ordering stuff. I don't know, but we should hear about it soon enough and see what they've got going. But whether or not it's going to be enough to take like Starfield from where it's at closer to like the performance of a Fallout 4, time will tell. I hope it's really good. I hope the expansion's amazing, but we'll just have to see. One thing they might be doing is they might do the announcement of the second expansion, and the PlayStation version of the game comes on April 7th, but the update with all the quality of life improvements hits instantly when they lift the embargo. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, there's your Starfield news. You thought we were done talking about Starfield? Haha, joke's on you. Joke's on you. You don't even know. Anyway, end of segment. There you go. We are going to talk about Crimson Desert here in a second. You thought we were getting away from that? No, baby. No, baby. We got more to talk about. We got more to talk about. You ain't getting rid of me that easy. Jump scare, Fortnite. Got you. Got you. Got you. Haha. Okay, let's do this. Okay. I've got to catch up on these super chats real quick. Blizz in Cali and everything there is expensive. I'm not sure what Blizz means. Oh, Blizzard. Okay, because we were talking about blizzards in California and everything there is expensive, so it brings up costs. Okay, yeah, I'm tracking. It took me a second. I think I meant Cliff Blazinski or something. I was trying to figure it out. Okay. Let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, I read that one. Wrecker Ryan, thank you for the $1, by the way. Biscuit, thank you for the 5. What is the closest itemization and inventory system like? Not sure if you've talked about it. In Crimson Desert, you mean? I don't actually know what I would compare it to because I'm not sure if it's that different from most things. I think it's probably just like a pretty standard adventure game inventory in line with like an AC Odyssey or an AC, like one of those games, or I'm trying to remember what the inventory system was like in Dragon's Dogma, but I don't know. It's a really basic thing of like, you have an inventory with this many slots, you have stuff in the slots, and you have a certain number of slots until you upgrade and then you get more slots. It's pretty straightforward. Let's see. I read that one. Kurt, thank you for the membership, by the way. Dreamville, thank you for the 10. Very generous. This game will be getting the next gospel intro about Horizon. You might not be wrong. Batgear. I'm sorry. Thank you for the super chat. Luke, the Sony need to hire the Chinese developers for Horizon Dawn. Then this should Concord for Horizon made by women developers. I will take your word for it. I'm not sure. Do you mean the NetEase game? The NetEase one? I do think the NetEase Horizon spin-off game looks way more Horizon than this one does. I do agree with that sentiment. As for the women developer thing, I'm not sure what you're referring to there, because this Horizon Horizon Hunter's Gathering is made by Guerrilla. It's made by the same company that made the other ones. So like I'm not tracking there. But if you're talking about, is it NCSoft? Did I say NetEase, NCSoft? I think it's NCSoft. I think you're right. Yeah. But yeah, anyway. 53 nights. Thank you for the 11 months. I know you only respond to money. George said on his latest stream, there's a possibility that Hunter's Gathering gets canceled before launch. I mean, I think at this point, they have to be aware. Like, the difference with Hunter's Gathering is that so much money has already been spent. They've been working on that with their A team for years. Walking away from it, I think, is like it would be a massive tuck the tail between the legs. But one thing that Arctics pointed out that we didn't really touch on, they had a Sony State of Play days. I believe it was days after they revealed the Horizon Hunter's Gathering thing. So the obvious question, why didn't they reveal Horizon Hunter's Gathering in the State of Play? What's the explanation? If they have a show, an actual State of Play showcase that's happening on Friday, why do they announce their big new AAA live service game on a Tuesday in a blog post with a video on YouTube? I think Luke's right. Because they knew people would hate it. What other explanation is there? I can't think of one. I can't think of another explanation than they knew if that was in the big showcase, it would have even more eyeballs on it, and that would weigh it down even more. And I think that's what's also shifted in the last few years is that there was this idea that you just get your game in front of as many eyeballs as possible, and that will help your game. And now studios are really, really afraid of the like brigading. They're really afraid of their game becoming uncool. And I mean, I think Highgard is an example of when your game becomes uncool. I think that was more confusing than anything, but Suicide Squad's maybe the better example of a game that just instantly became uncool the moment they revealed gameplay, and everybody hated it, and they just could never dig themselves out of that pit, you know? But why then make something people will hate? What seems clear to me is that the people at Guerrilla making the game are aware that their fans will not like this. It is above their pay grade. It seems clear to me that this is something that was basically mandated, required of them, that the big guys came in and said, you're going to do this, and it's going to be our next Star Wars. You know, you're going to do this. And that's what they had to do. I don't think that the like developers at Guerrilla are deluded to the point, like with the Highgard stuff, it was clear a lot of the developers working on it were huffing their own hopium. And the one guy that tweeted out, he was saying, you know, we had profit sharing and revenue sharing, so our hope was that this would help us break the millennial curse of not having money, right? Because if it did well, they'd all be wealthy. They'd all get a ton of money, which I think clouded their judgment, because they really wanted it to be the case that this was going to be the next big thing. So they started to believe it, trying to, you know, fake it till you make it kind of thing. It clouded their judgment. But with this, I don't think it's a case like that. I think with the case of Hunter's Gathering, even Guerrilla is like, okay, we'll do our best, but like, bro, or do we really have to do this? Like, do we really have to do this? I think that's what the deal is. Yeah. It's weird that his expectation was for customers to make him rich. Well, I think again, it was just, yeah, hubris to the extreme. I think it's just that they had the idea that this could be the game that blows up and helps make them all wealthy, which if it had blown up into an Overwatch level success, it would have made them wealthy. It would have made them rich. Maybe not all of them rich, but it would have made them all well off. They would have really benefited from that financially, which is why they set the company up that way. But you have to be aware that sometimes, you know, that puts those like Tom and Jerry $ eyeballs on, and it just ruins your vision. it clouds your vision, obscures reality, and it doesn't actually help you, you know, because you want so badly for it to be the case that you kind of lose sight of everything else. Let's see. Larry Daniels, thank you for the 2. Yeah, Blizz and Cali, everything there is expensive. Hezimov, thank you for that super chat. Marathon Sacrifice is fun for bloat. Oh, we did talk about that one. Yeah, prioritizing KPIs over player experience. I think they, I think that there was a lot of cases within Bungie that they do get bogged down by the data a lot. And that kind of makes them miss the forest for the trees. Like they get really caught up on all of these little tidbits, and that can kind of cloud it. A good example is when we were at the preview event in April. They were talking about how they needed to balance every map for a certain percentage survival rate. So they had the data on what percentage of the time people extracted and didn't die. And so they wanted to balance it. So the harder the maps got, the lower that percentage went, and how they would put the thumb on the scale to get it to balance out. So maybe the beginner map, you survive 60% of the time, the medium map, 40%, and the hard map, 20%. I don't know if these are the numbers. I'd have to go back and check. But if the numbers are like that, they would put their thumb on the scale by adding in more PvE elements, more of the robots. They make them more difficult, more high level, and they would balance it that way. But I think by trying to balance that based on the spreadsheet data, they kind of lost sight of the flow to moment flow of combat and flow of fun, you know? It was caught too much in the minutia of the data. And I think that can sometimes hurt games like that. When they over manipulate it that way. Let's see. Is Hunter's Gathering Concord 4 the Concording? Like Jor said, if it might get canceled. I am struggling to find a world in my mind in which it like pops off, Because like Highgard, I could see like really hardcore competitive shooter players getting into it, especially if they continue to update it, add new stuff. I could see it eventually getting a handful of, you know, a few thousand players that play it really regularly. The problem was it was way too expensive for only a few thousand players, but I could see it getting to that point where it had maybe a few thousand diehard fans. I cannot fathom the audience for Hunter's Gathering. I don't know who it is. I don't think they know who it is either, which is why they brought on the variety streamers to ask them stuff. Did I say Highgard? Oh my God. I just don't know for Hunter's Gathering who that audience is. And I don't think they do either, you know, and I think that's the tricky bit. Anyway, maybe kids, maybe, but I mean, again, I think the delusion is just thinking that the kids will move on from Roblox or Fortnite to come play your 3v3 whatever. Like, I just don't understand what they're thinking. It's just, it's again one of those games that was just made in the hopes that the audience would show up. There's not much more intentionality beyond that. It's just, well, let's hope people come. Let's see. Antichristus, thank you for the 10. For me, Horizon Forbidden West is in the top 5 of the best games, but I don't care about this game. I'm waiting for Horizon 3 or whatever they will call it. I think a lot of Horizon players are with you on that. I think a lot of Horizon players are just like, it's clearly not for me. And the fact that they're going with a new cast of characters, I think shows that they made it not for you. They're trying to make it something you can miss and feel okay. If it had Aloy, it would feel kind of like they're really trying hard to push you into playing it, right? But they're seemingly like saying, okay, no, you don't have to play it. It's fine. But then they shouldn't be surprised when you don't play it. You know? Luke M. Smort with Mooney, video game need lots of money. Yes, indeed, Skurburn. Thank you. Somebody gets it. Somebody finally gets it. Suprastardic, or I can't remember. Suprastar DC, maybe. Thank you for the 2. Oh, you have to be live. Cringe. Oh yeah, baby. You know, you can't escape me. You can't escape me. I'm inevitable. I'm inevitable. Intergalactic Pirate Radio, thank you for the 10. Starfield could have been phenomenal if they had stuck to their guns, but instead they went the opposite direction by using procedural generation instead of handcrafted content. Total flop. I don't think it flopped. I think based on their metrics, because again, the whole point of Game Pass is hours played. That's how they gauge success, is how many hours are generated with your content. That's how most of the contracts that have leaked are written, is that you get paid by hour, effectively, which is the same as most streaming service platforms, because obviously if people are engaging with your content more, that's more valuable than content people, you know, play for only an hour versus 100, you know. But Starfield, apparently, at least in its first month of life, was an hours played Game Pass behemoth. Like, all of the data, all of the statements made publicly and privately shows that like it garnered crazy hour counts from players. So I think for Game Pass, it was considered a very big success. I think it's pretty clear long term that it's not stayed up, but and it didn't really pierce the mainstream veil the way they wanted it to. But at least in the short term, I think it was considered a success. And that's coming from somebody that, quite, as if you couldn't tell, I'm not the biggest Starfield fan, but I don't think it was a flop by Xbox's internal metrics. Maybe long term it was, but as of the short term, I don't think so. But I think the fact that they've still been given the money, even at this point, I mean, it's a game with 2,000 concurrent players on Steam, maybe another couple thousand on Xbox and, other places. It's not a massive behemoth of a game, but they are still being allowed to spend millions upon millions upon millions on development of new expansions and stuff. And I think it's because it's making money somehow. It's making enough money that Xbox still is willing to put money into it. So, I don't think it qualifies as like a walk-off slop or flop for them. Kyle Beckman, thank you for the 5. Speaking of Crimson Desert, will I get 60 FPS on my 5090 in cinematic settings with 4K and no DLSS and multi-frame generation? I don't know. Mainly because I don't think there's been any testing of the cinematic mode. So we don't know how demanding it is. Like, is it one of those modes where it's like designed for GPUs in 5 years, or is it something that's usable on the 5090? I don't think we know yet, but we'll see. I bet Digital Foundry will do some cinematic testing, you know, I bet they will. But as for ultimate settings, I think ultimate, absolutely. Like based on, or ultra rather, because we tried it at ultra at the preview event on a much weaker GPU than a 5090. And it was doing natively at like 80 or 90 frames. So I guess that you should, but I won't say yes for sure. I don't think that anybody knows for sure yet. Okay, almost there, guys. Sohab, thank you for the 10. Any idea how long to complete Crimson Desert? I heard 300 hours. Is that true? I usually pre-order AAA games but I'm hesitant. I enjoy God of War, Last of Us, Final Fantasy 16, Wukong, and I'm unsure if I should buy it. I will say, based on what you just described, I don't know if you have experience with like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. This game plays much closer to those than it plays like a God of War or a Wukong or Final Fantasy 16. It is much more free flow exploration, much less strict, like bumpers, this is where you go and all of that. As for how long it is, I don't know, other than they've said it will be hundreds of hours to 100% completed. They've said that. Completionist runs will be in the realm of hundreds of hours. I think they showed the menu. It's like 480 or 460 or something quests, side and main ones all together under like the adventures tab or something. Like actually crazy. So it's going to be massive, no doubt. Massive. Let's see. Javante Peoples, thank you. I need to get better glasses, I think. I'm going blind, man. Thank you for the 5. I feel like with Highgard, had they had an open beta...
9,580 donated $20 through Super Chat. Luke, I think Horizon Hunters Gathering is just gonna be Marathon 2. Executives just can't see it.
Oh, you think they're going to get like feedback, keep polishing, keep building, do multiple waves of play tests, and it'll launch solid, but just won't quite be enough? Is that what you mean? I think it's... I cannot fathom it being on the same level as Marathon. Like Marathon is doing really well for a brand new live service IP. Is it well enough to justify like a $3.7 billion company's acquisition? I don't think so. But that's why it's like, it's good, but is it good enough for Sony? That's what we don't know yet. And I personally am not sure if it's good enough for Sony. Because again, just remember, Sony bought them assuming Marathon was going to blow up into like a Destiny 2 level success. They thought it was going to be on that level. And it's just not. It's a really solid performing live service game. It's got a strong audience, but it's not a Destiny 2 level success, at least not yet. So we'll see. But as for Horizon Hunters Gathering, I don't see a world in which that gets anywhere close, you know? I don't see it get anywhere close to that. But Javante, thank you for that. I feel like if Highgard, if they had an open beta for a month, announced a full release at the Game Awards, not at the end, they'd be fine. Yeah, I think the hubris definitely hurt them. And but even then, fine, I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure if, just being honest, like I don't think that game concept has mass market appeal. I just don't think it does. They had over 2 million players try the game over the course of its short life, and they could barely hold on to any of them. I just don't think people care that much. So I don't think even doing play tests and stuff would have massively changed the formula. I think it would have helped them not lose as many players as quickly. I think they would have added 5v5 day one. I think they would have done stuff like that. But yeah, they were just married to this idea of doing an Apex Legends shadow drop kind of thing. And they really thought that was the right way to do it. And it just didn't work. It didn't work. Almost there, guys. Let's see. Darik. I'm so sorry. Kaldariak? I'm not sure. Thank you for the 5. Any idea why these big companies don't do testing with YouTube CCs? Content creators, you mean? I feel like if they had your or Asmon or Legendary Drops test, they would save money. I don't know about Asmon or Legendary Drops, so I won't try to speak for them or anything. As for myself, I have done consulting for games. I have been asked to look at games and to offer feedback on them, ranging from close to announcement to very early in the process. I told you guys about one that I did consulting work for, and it just disappeared. So I can't talk about it. What we saw was not ready for prime time, and we told them that, and they went back to the drawing board, and that's been years. I don't know whatever happened to it, but you know, there are companies that do get that feedback. But that's the thing, is it's like if they do ask for feedback and the feedback is negative to the point where they choose to pivot and change it or cancel or whatever, you'll never hear about it. You know, so all you see in the public are the games that slipped through, that didn't do that, or that didn't listen to the feedback or whatever. And so it kind of skews the perception. But there are studios that do ask for the feedback and have avoided massive flops like this just by getting out after spending 2 million instead of going all the way to spending 100 million, you know? So it does happen. It does happen. It's just when it happens, you won't hear about it. You won't hear about it. As for the Denuvo stuff, we did talk about Denuvo earlier in the stream, fam. We did. It was like one of the first things we actually talked about. So yeah, you don't have to throw me money to talk about Denuvo stuff. We're also about to talk about Crimson Desert. But we did talk about that earlier, just so people are aware. Let's see, Crafted, good to see you. Oh, Spec Ops, good to see you. 37 months. Luke, let's give away some custom shirts. You want to do 10? Hit my DM on Discord and I'll cover all costs. Also looking forward to Crimson. Oh, that's very generous of you. That would be super cool. That'd be super cool. Yeah, thanks for reaching out. I can circle back to that. Appreciate you, my friend. That could be a fun giveaway. Wealthy XP, thank you for the 2. It's funny you thought Marathon would be a success. Did I ever say it was going to be a success? It's news to me. I think it's, like, again, a solid, like, live service game. Is it successful enough for Sony? That's the question. And I don't think it's successful enough for Sony to be satisfied. Could be wrong. Maybe they are really thrilled. Maybe compared to what it was going to be in April, or rather September on its original launch date, it did way better. Because I think if it launched in September, bro, the numbers would be way, way worse. Way worse. Highgard drop-offs, I think, because they just didn't have it. It wasn't ready. But it's definitely doing better. It just isn't doing well enough. Let's see. Beano Baked, thank you for the 5. Have you tried the co-op Ghost of Yote mode yet? It's been I've been loving it, but I'm curious what you think. I have not. I actually did just update because I've been out of town, so I haven't been able to try it, but I did install it, so I've got to try it. Edgar, again, thank you for the 20, very generous. Hazimov, there it is. Hazimov, thank you for that one. Do you think Sony's better off with Mark Cerny at the helm of SIE? I feel he has what it takes to right the ship. I think Mark, as far as I understand it, is a hardware guy, so he's probably a good guy to run the hardware division. I don't think he's the game guy, you know? Like, I think his specialty is with the hardware stuff. So but I guess I should put it this way. I think he'd be better than who they have now. I think that would be better, but still. Let's see. Kyle, thank you for that. Hey, Luke, since Crimson Desert embargo, wasn't sure if there's a plan for ships. Curious with more reveals towards launch, water around the map. Maybe there's another trick up their sleeve. That I am genuinely not sure about. I don't know. You never know with these guys, though, because, again, they are a team that is used to making MMOs and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, let's say there's no ships in the game day one. I wouldn't be surprised if 6 months down the road, they're like, yeah, the first expansion, water, the expansion or whatever, and they add ships to it. Like, never say never with the MMO studios, dude. They will do crazy stuff like it's nothing. It's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Have you seen Pikmin yet? I heard someone call them Concord likes. I have not. I just Googled that. I don't see. It's apparently a kind of cookie. Oh, it's showing me. Okay, okay. Different Pokemon. Okay, I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh, it's because it was just misspelled. That's why. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm tracking. Yeah, the multiplayer open world survival crafter, that is, I will say, I think they were straight up trolling. Like, I think they were straight up trolling. Like, what can we do to piss off Nintendo? Because they do like the glider thing. They go and they do all of the like heavy nods to Pokemon. Like, dude, Game Rant, their article right here, I just Googled it. Their article has like the best title. It's Pikmin feels like a kid in a divorce acting out to get attention from its parents, Pokemon and Pal World. Which is kind of hilarious, and that kind of is exactly what it comes off as. So yeah, that's pretty funny. That's pretty freaking funny. Acting like a kid in a divorce, acting out. That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, we'll see what that's like. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it. But those types of descriptions always make me laugh. Okay. Oh, Spec Ops, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Very generous. Welcome everybody who just got those. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Get in the Discord if you just got gifted one. Appreciate you. Thoughts on the Legend of California? I think it looks interesting. I mean, of course, obviously it's very, very early. So it's kind of hard to say, but if there is like an open world, like Western shooter survival game, I'm interested in that. I'm a lot more interested in that than a lot of the like sort of generic fantasy ones, that we've seen. Cause there's like 15,000 fantasy survival games. I'm like, give me something fresh. Honestly, Western survival game? Okay, interested. I'm intrigued. RE9 is my game of the year so far. It says so hard with the 10. I did 7 playthroughs, so much fun. I highly recommend. I know it's still March, and there's still Crimson Desert, 007, Lego Batman, Forza 6, Phantom Blade, Wolverine, GTA 6. Yeah, there's a lot. It's going to be a busy, stacked year, for sure. I think it's going to be tough to whittle it down. But, yeah, and I'm sure there's probably also going to be some big surprise game that nobody saw coming that's coming out late this year that blows everybody away. You know, never say never. There's always a surprise. There's always a surprise. So, you know, don't get married to one game over the other. I think obviously Resident Evil 9 is like currently front runner, but it's a long year ahead of us, man. Long year ahead of us. We got a lot coming out. Okay. How do you feel about games like Outer Worlds 2 that almost require multiple playthroughs? I guess it depends on what you mean by require. Like, I'm not... Obviously, if there's so much content that you can play it multiple times, that's pretty badass and cool. But if it's one of those things where, like, core content is locked behind certain doors that you can only get access to later, I can understand why some people are frustrated by it. I personally like it. Like, I understand if I play a game like Baldur's Gate with like an evil playthrough, I'm not going to get to experience the same things that players will get to experience if you played good, and maybe, you know, vice versa. There's going to be certain things you don't see based on how you play. So I think it's kind of par of the course for RPGs, especially. You know, I'm not that shocked by it. Okay. Let's talk about Crimson Desert. Finally, we got here. We did it. New segment. It's time to talk about the game that everybody is talking about. Bruh. Okay, here we go. This is going to be probably a big meandering segment. Buckle up, buckaroo, because there's a lot to talk about. There's things like performance. There's things like the final launch trailer. There's things like the Digital Foundry access, the Denuvo stuff, Fortnite crossovers. Oh no, my camera just went out. It's cursed. It literally saw that and gave up. Dude, that's crazy. Hold on. Deactivate, reactivate. Dude, did my camera just turn itself off? Dude, that's so funny. Literally right as I turn to the Fortnite crossover, my camera's like, no, we're good. Oh, I see what happened. The little cable got unplugged. Hold on. Plug it back in. There we go. Now I gotta turn it off and back on. Yeah, Fortnite's, the camera just decided to fry itself. Okay. Turn that back on, and then back here, and then there it goes. Okay, sorry. The timing was impeccable, was it not? That's priceless. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna warn you guys, it's gonna be meandering because I want to get to all of it, but there's a lot to chew on. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of work chronologically through each of the tidbits, and we'll get to all of it. But bear with me. Okay, so first thing, obviously, I guess while we're here, yes, they're doing a Fortnite crossover. There you go. I know a lot of you guys were wondering, and we're really hoping for that, but they are doing a Fortnite crossover. Why? I don't know, man. Buy Crimson Desert on Epic Game Store and get the Cliff outfit in Fortnite as a gift with purchase. So that's their thing. I don't understand it, dude. I don't get the Fortnite crossover thing, but I think maybe it's that they have some data that, like, 12-year-olds are more likely to play your game if there's some connection with Fortnite. I don't know. Maybe this is just like Fortnite's idea, and they're like, we're going to do all the work, and then you get a little bonus by going through the Epic Game Store. I don't know, but either way, that's happening. There you go. Who knew? That wasn't on your bucket list, was it? They also released the launch trailer for the game, where they dropped a couple of new little gameplay snippets, some of which we've seen before. They also shared some new, as far as I'm aware, new boss fights, new zone footage. For example, this boss fight they're about to show, I don't think it's been seen before. This one. We haven't seen much footage of the desert areas either, so we're actually seeing that. I don't think we've ever seen that guy before. LaFus Roda action. A new weapon with a fan blade. Trains. Jetpacks. Why not? Parkour puzzles. What's happening? Exactly. Sensory overload the game. Sensory overload the game. Reviews, of course, lift on the 18th. Game comes out the 19th. We are in the home stretch. There's been other snippets of gameplay. I'm not sure where these come from, but like Zephyrus clipped this one.
Story reason to be here, at least not yet.
Oh, it's in the Digital Foundry. We'll get to the Digital Foundry one because they talk about the circus and some of that stuff. But all of this leads us to the Digital Foundry video about performance and their testing of the console versions, which we're going to look at. Then we're going to talk about some of the updates to the PC version as well that just came out, as far as I'm aware, this morning. Is when some of the latest reveals happened. So buckle up, buckaroo. But let's see what Digital Foundry thought about it. Dude, the rain does look crazy good.
When you attempt to explain a game like Crimson Desert to a colleague, It almost sounds like a fake game that you might have tried to pass off to your classmates back in the day. Like, I drifted my horse around the fields before stumbling into a giant circus performance, after which I made my way to the hills of the great bug wars between giant metallic insects and gun-toting soldiers before visiting the fortress of the giant robots. After which I took a stroll along the beach before stumbling into a large city where I became a wanted criminal, only to escape by jumping off the castle's wall, to then find myself lost in a rainforest during a storm at night, before eventually emerging out into the Crimson Desert itself and climbing to its highest point to see the world that I had just traversed. Oh, and there's dragons you can fly around on, and giant bosses like Shadow of the Colossus, and you can swing like Spider-Man, and the combat makes you feel like a medieval John Wick. Like, seriously, I'm not one to normally get excited about open world games, as followers of DF might know, but Crimson Desert is crazy and ambitious in a way that I quickly became enamored with.
Well, I think it's also, we have gotten, like, at least it feels to me, that the open world genre has stagnated for a solid, well, honestly, this whole generation. I'm trying to think of another open world game that really felt like systemically a big step up. You know, like there's obviously games that have higher fidelity, or that, oh, the ray tracing's better, you know, but it really feels like mechanically there hasn't been a lot of innovation. It's just like the same game that you've seen 1,000 times, but with like more bells and whistles, you know? It feels like that. So for like the vast majority of this generation, it just hasn't really moved. And I think that that's why this is so exciting to people, is that they see all these things and like, yeah, why can't I do that with other things? KCD2, I would say KCD2 even is a refinement of the first game that polishes it up to an amazing mirror shine. Don't get me wrong. I love KCD2. I think it's a masterpiece. But I think that in terms of its structure, it's basically just a perfection of the formula from 2017, but it doesn't feel like, you know, a lot of crazy, fresh or new ideas. It's just doing what that game wanted to do, but kind of perfected. And Forspoken, yeah, I guess that's one. They did do some things unexpected, I'll tell you that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like when we see something like Crimson Desert, it's just like, why this makes it look like other studios haven't even been trying, you know, like, because it's just so crazy ambitious. But this is what people would hope to see and expect to see from, you know, a company like Ubisoft that's spending 200 million on something, you know.
$20 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Search Marathon parody trailer. I've been hoping you'd see it.
Oh, really? I can pull that up in another tab. We can circle back to it. Thank you for the suggestion and for the 20. Very generous.
Just wanted to see what was over the next hill. It really brought back that thrill of exploration. But all this ambition does not come for free, and nearly all of the promotional footage leading up to launch has focused on the PC version, which looks obscenely good, leaving people to wonder, did they hide the console version? Is it actually any good? Well, DF friends, wonder no more. Everything you've been seeing here today thus far has been captured from the console version of the game, and today we'll be exploring that experience. For this initial video, however, there is a word of caution. We've only had access to the PlayStation 5 Pro version thus far, but fear not, the other consoles are incoming soon, and we'll tackle them in due time.
The PS5 Pro version looks really solid. I'm guessing the PS5 base version is just going to look like this, but with much lower resolution. That would be my guess. But I don't have any info on this. I haven't seen it. I would guess if you're an Xbox Series S player, okay, that's just my guess. Okay, I'm guessing it's not gonna be great, because the stat sheet that they've put out, I think, said it's 720p 30. I think is what they said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it was 720p 60. I think it was 720 30. And I've played this game a lot, and bro, I would not want to play this on 30. Just the combat would not, I don't think it would be good at 30. Okay, maybe if you're used to playing at 30, it's easier for you to pick it up, but like, fam, I'm just going to be real with you. I wouldn't mess with this. What USB drive is like plugging itself in and out? What is happening? This one? I don't know, man. I got drives, USB drives freaking out. But overall, I would say, does it run? Yes. Does it run in a way that I would consider like you can enjoy the game? I would guess probably not, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. There's some games where I'm like 30 is not a big deal. 60 is great, but 30 you can manage it. Like Red Dead 2, obviously I played Red Dead 2 at launch at 30 and loved it. This, I'm not sure if this is a game I would enjoy at 30. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm playing at 30. You have my pity.
For now, though, let's dive in.
Dive in. Yeah.
Looking for a new high-quality gaming display? MSI has a range of excellent options for all budgets across its wide monitor range, with selected models at sale prices. On the top-end QD OLED side, there's the MPG 321.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier on stream. If you've never played gaming on an OLED, bro, literally be ready, because once you switch to an OLED screen, if you have multiple monitors, it's going to make the other monitor look like trash. Just be ready, because if you've never played on it before and that's like you replace one of your monitors with OLED and the other is like an LCD, it's going to make you never want to play or do anything on the second monitor ever again. Like it's an actual game changer. It's crazy. It's like actual crazy. MSI versus KSI. There's got to be a joke there. Like MSI monitors have a big chin, KSI monitors have a big forehead. I don't know. There's got to be a joke there. We'll work on it.
Crimson Desert is a rare and exciting moment for us at Digital Foundry. In a landscape where Unreal Engine has become the default, and where its strengths and weaknesses are now largely predictable, Pearl Abyss has arrived with something genuinely new to explore. Their Black Space engine delivers results that are nothing short of remarkable. Yeah, there's some jank to contend with, of course, and we'll get to that, but the overall impression it leaves is striking. From performance to crowd behavior, animation, freedom, foliage, lighting, everything, it is a stunning game. And on PS5 Pro here, you actually don't lose that much. For starters, the game's ray tracing features are fully present and accounted for on the Pro. The ray-traced diffuse global illumination we highlighted in our PC preview, the per pixel solution, yeah, it's enabled here. This gives the game a fully dynamic, ray-traced driven lighting system. Sunlight pouring into a room naturally bounces across surfaces, creating dramatic, believable scenes, and it's all done fully dynamically. The same is true of local lights, which produce equally impressive results. You have a lantern in your inventory, for instance, which you can pull out at any time, and the light from your lantern produces ultra dramatic scenes, especially at night where light is scarce. Scenes like this are particularly impressive. This battle here has lights being generated by the enemies that you're fighting, and all of it is fully real time, with shadows and lights dancing realistically across the terrain. It makes the battle feel so dynamic. The lighting has a distinctive quality that makes the world feel more convincing than most current-gen games. The bright blue skies stand out immediately, and the environment around your character shows clear atmospheric light scattering. The real-time time of day system also pays off. Days and nights last longer than you usually see in games, and nighttime is genuinely dark, closer to something like, say, Dragon's Dogma, but with stronger, more consistent ray-traced lighting. Ray tracing is enabled across all three modes, by the way. Yes, there are 3 modes. So the overall lighting quality remains
like it's not that different, dude. Like that's what's kind of crazy. Like again, it's just the rules that generally apply to games like this, which is what we've seen from companies like EA, Ubisoft. You know, maybe you could even point to like a Starfield type game from BGS. They just don't seem to really apply, nowadays. They just don't. So like they literally are just doing it their own way and kind of breaking the rules.
intact and consistent regardless of how you play. The only drawback here is that the denoiser occasionally struggles in more extreme cases. It's not as speckly as Resident Evil Requiem, but it's definitely still noticeable.
Well, we've seen this even in the preview footage.
In particular, I noticed streaking and noise in areas of high contrast.
Yeah.
Even so, lighting is a major pillar.
And that's one thing, like, I think some people are more sensitive to it than others, but it's also one of those things, like, at least with Requiem, for me, you get used to it pretty quickly, like, and your brain just kind of tunes it out. It's the same thing, like, as we look through here, I'll pause when I see something, but like
The game's visual identity.
Usually these engines are built to put all of the polishing efforts and post-processing, like, quality is pretty much centered in these zones, because that's where your eyes spend the vast majority of their time when you're playing. When you're watching a YouTube video, you know, your eyes are going wherever they go, but that's why you often see artifacting and things where maybe they are cutting some corners on the outside edges.
And works beautifully overall. I'll be curious to see how the game looks without ray tracing though, because it seems like the Xbox Series S version does not have this feature. Beyond that, I noticed some really great visual touches.
Yeah, so like if you watch this, I'll just rewind, but watch like this edge right here on the left side, and you'll see like the shadows popping in.
Does not have this feature.
Popping in and out.
Beyond that, I noticed some really great visual touches that I wanted to highlight.
But is that a deal breaker that makes the game therefore bad? No, I don't think so. Some people will find that, you know, really, really upsetting, but I think, you know, that's this much of a problem. Something like, you know, the game is only 20 minutes long, but $70. Like, that's a big problem. But something like that, very, very little, very, very little.
For instance, particle shadows. Smoke plumes cast real dynamic shadows that you can observe as you move around.
That's one of those things that you didn't realize most games don't support until this very moment. I did not realize, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I can't think of another game that does like actual shadows cast on the particle effects and stuff. That's like actually insane that they just casually are doing that. But yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think like any other games that I know about do that.
Cast real dynamic.
It does that to me on Max FOV. Oh, what are you gonna do?
Dynamic shadows that you can observe as you move around. You can see that here if we look at this smokestack and then turn the camera around, you actually see the shadows from the emanating smoke. It's very cool.
Even when it's not
attacks
in
from
frame.
above actually do the same. It's a subtle feature, not something I've often thought about, but it really adds a surprising amount of depth when it hits. Ray traced reflections are also something I noticed. With so much water and other reflective surfaces, it's impressive that every mode on PS5 Pro actually includes them. The system manages to blend ray traced reflections with SSR and assign distance fields for distant geometry. This is one area where I noticed a little bit of a difference in the performance mode though. The BVH tightens up around the camera, reducing the overall reflection radius. The results still look excellent, but it relies more heavily on the fallback solutions. But honestly, even still, it looks excellent, and the water itself is kind of a standout. Now, I discussed this with Alex in our initial PC preview, but the way the wave system works is super cool. Waves break and split around rocks, for instance. They wash up on shore and recede naturally. Wet surfaces pick up a specular sheen, and characters themselves even generate ripples that interact convincingly with the environment and other ripples. When you climb into the mountains, you'll see water sort of streaming down the mountainside, right? And the way they've handled all the directionality of the water itself is extremely impressive.
Yeah,
but
that's
crucially,
crazy.
the water also looks great at scale. When standing on a mountain looking out across the ocean, for instance, it's still convincing and beautiful.
Well, one of you guys was asking in chat earlier if you think, or if I think that they're going to add like ships and stuff, or if there's ships like in the game that we haven't seen yet. Full transparency, I don't know if there's ships in the game. At this point, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, even if there's not ships in the game day one, if they add them in like an expansion at some point. Because bear in mind, like they've already been talking, the CEO went and did an earnings call where he talked about some of their long-term goals and vision for the game. And one of the things he said was that they fully expect to be able to, if the game performs well, is what he prefaced it, but if the game performs well, they want to go and explore adding like multiplayer with like a co-op mode. So you can go explore and do combat together with friends. Possibly even working it more closely to like GTA Online, where they would have a totally separate instance of the world so it doesn't interfere with your single player story, right? Which should be, in theory, easy enough for them to do because, again, this was an engine initially built to run an MMO. So having multiple players doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Every time we've asked them about that, they go, nope. Because I think that they don't want to get ahead of themselves, but that is something that they've had in the back of their heads that they would do if the game is really successful, according to their CEO, okay? Beyond that, I don't think it's that crazy to say if this does well and they do an expansion for it, like, I don't know how many copies this will sell, but let's say it pops off and it does 10 million. But you better believe they're going to do an expansion. Wouldn't shock me if they do a water expansion, a ship expansion, where they let you get a ship and sail it around. Again, these are MMO devs. They're not afraid of massive expansions that do crazy stuff. You know, they're not afraid of that. Is there a mortgage system? No comment.
I also love how they simulate the penetration of light through
Simulate the
surface of
penetration.
the water, like standing in deep water here with your lantern. But the water in general is just beautiful throughout this game and a real visual highlight. The way they're able to scale from nearby ripples to a full ocean is very impressive. And this idea of scale is kind of what surprised me the most. The developers have managed to deliver this combination of ridiculous near-field detail at a huge scale that you can appreciate at a distance. Just stop and look around, right? Every scene is packed with this fine-grained detail. There's an absurd amount of foliage variety, for instance, and all that foliage is affected by weather conditions blowing realistically in the wind. When a storm starts to wind up, the trees whip around violently around you. But beyond that, they also react directly to the player and NPC movement as well.
Like, as far as I can tell, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say I think this is the most, at least to a consumer, it's like the most impressive engine that I can think of. Because even other games like the Star engine for Star Citizen that's capable of doing like basically whole galaxy simulation stuff, it runs like hot donkey ass. Like, it's impressive, but you need a supercomputer to run it, and even then, it doesn't run it well. Unreal is ubiquitous. Everybody can use it, but it's obviously got its own fair share of like shortcomings. RE Engine looks better. I don't think RE Engine is capable of doing the stuff they're doing here. Like, it's very good at what it does. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think they're the fidelity they achieve, especially in like cinematics and the animation quality for tighter environments is outrageous. And they got the version of that game that runs on the Switch 2 is crazy impressive. Like, there's so many things about it, but I think just in terms of sheer scale, like, this engine just breaks my brain. It just breaks my brain. Rage Engine is the best. Well, that's the thing. I guess I should preface it by saying we haven't seen what a current gen Rage Engine does. We'll see that with GTA 6, but we don't know what that looks like, right? Like, we've seen trailers, but we don't know what that's going to be like. It's very likely that we see GTA 6 and it's like, okay, that's ridiculous, but yeah, they should license it for open world games. Well, this is the thing that is the benefit of having a proprietary engine, right? Is that now people are saying what you just did. People are going, why can't we get an Assassin's Creed with this? Why can't we get a Witcher game with this? But that is their unique competitive advantage, is that this company, Pearl Abyss, can use their engine to do stuff nobody else is doing, to do stuff that everybody else is like wishing they could pull off. And you better believe right now there's like engine engineers over at BGS working on Creation Engine 3. Totally different, by the way, than 2. Or engineers at Ubisoft, engineers at EA, engineers at all these companies, and they're watching this video going, how in the shit did they do that? You better believe they're wondering that. because it's absolutely crazy. Decima is very impressive. I'll give you that one. Decima is very impressive.
Yet it's perhaps the distant rendering of the trees that impressed me the most. You see, this is an area where games typically struggle, yet here trees far off in the distance are actually properly lit and shadowed, while still giving the perception of detail. Shadowing distant trees has such a positive impact on the overall visual design, and it's something that most other games either skip completely or do in a very blobby, simple fashion. And this sort of insane detail can also be said of the surfaces and textures throughout the game. These guys went wild with displacement mapping. It's not a new technique, obviously, but it's everywhere. What do I mean? Well, essentially, just look at the ground here. This allows the developers to simulate depth within a texture, lending that surface increased perceived detail without leveraging more geometry.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Pretty much every surface you look at has some level of depth and complexity to the geometry, and of course they're doing it without having to just have a ridiculous number of triangles, but by using those displacement maps. What's Doki V, dude? Doki V is the game this team is moving on to after Crimson Desert. I'm going to show it to you because you're not going to believe me that this is being made by the same team. But it is. Okay. This is like the same company, okay? And this is the same engine as Crimson Desert. Okay. Buckle up, buckaroo. Just quick one.
It's gonna be special.
I'm gonna mute it because I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted. But this is the game they're doing after Crimson Desert. They're gonna finish this. I don't know how to explain this, being honest. I have no idea what it even is. But apparently it's like a massive open world adventure game that's also got like life sim elements and is supposed to basically feel like one of those like animated movies. I guess I don't really understand it. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't get it. But this is what the Black Space engine is also being used for. Now, this trailer is from 2021, going on 5 years ago. Okay. So this has been in the works for ages as well. So I'm sure it's only running way better than it was in this clip. But yeah, this is what they're doing after that. So there you go. Kids Bop GTA. Dude, that might actually, no joke, that might be a pretty good way of describing it. Anyway, continuing.
Stone, every brick, and just about any other surface in the game is just exploding with visual detail like this. There are virtually no flat surfaces in Crimson Desert. I've never seen this technique executed at scale quite like this, and I do think it adds a lot to the presentation. But there is one downside. It can produce some visual bugs at times. Something I noticed especially in that first town. Stuff like this, for instance, right? The larger issue can be seen when you look at areas where the texture sort of protrudes from the geometry, like this, on edges. There's sometimes flicker and pixelation along these surfaces. You'll notice it on rock walls, trees, and various other edges, just like that. It's worth mentioning, though, that this bothered me more when I first started the game, but after you start to make progress, you just kind of forget about it. The overall majesty of the visuals kind of takes over. Either way, it's cool to see such a great technique return here. There's more to discuss in the visual side, but honestly, for now, I feel like it might be a good time to talk about the specifics around the PS5 Pro version of the game.
Okay.
After all, a lot of people are wondering just how it runs, and
even like that, you can see that
PS5 Pro version of the game.
So like watch, we got a little pop in right there. See that? Right there. Blink and you'll miss it. It's only like 3 frames. But there you go. This is one thing I remember Will mentioned in our interview with him. He's like, I don't want to say we've solved pop-in, but we have some amazing solutions for it. I think pop-in is just a reality of like open world games. It's just, it is what it is.
At Caleb's92 donated $20 through Super Chat. NGL, this looks like a PDF file's dream game.
Oh, Doki V. I thought you were talking about Crimson I was like, because of the rocks? I was thoroughly confused. But Doki V, because it's like Kids Bop kind of. Okay, okay. That makes more sense than than the Crimson It's like, because of the horses? What? I don't. I'm not tracking. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you for the 20. Thank you for the 20. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand Doki V. We'll have to do a deep dive on it. I don't really understand the game or what it is. I don't know. There's also a name for that art style. I don't remember what it is, but there's a name for that specific art style of humanoids, and I don't know what it is, but anyway.
After all, a lot of people are wondering just how it runs, and while you might have a good idea by now, there is more to discuss. So as the spec sheet released by Pearl Abyss notes, there are 3 modes on most consoles, including PS5 Pro: Optimal, which is the performance mode, Balanced, and Quality. This translates to internal resolutions of 1080p, 1440p.
Honest feedback to Pearl Abyss. Honest feedback. At least to an American like me, Optimal would suggest it's optimal. It's the best. Okay? So when I hear optimal, I don't think performance mode. I think the best mode. Right? Am I alone in this? So when I hear optimal, I'm assuming that's quality when they mean performance. Okay? So I'd recommend that they swap the name out for like performance mode. I think that would work better. Because it's hit my ear weird both times he's brought it up. But anyway. Yeah, optimal mode or performance mode, 1080p, balance 1440, and quality at 4K.
And 4K respectively, and our counts confirm this to be the case. Where it differs from the user experience you might have, however, is that the current build we had access to is running with the original PSSR, as opposed to what we affectionately call PSSR 2.
Pisser 2!
Thus, image quality wasn't great. Apparently PSSR...
Which again, I'm sorry, whoever greenlit PSSR. Like, I get it, PS, PlayStation. They were like, PlayStation Super Resolution. Bro, the fact that nobody brought up that it sounds like Pisser is insane. Like, that made it through marketing reviews and everything is unbelievable. It's a good, like, 2.0, PSSR 2.0 is really impressive. It's very, very good. Way better than the 1.0 version. But, like, bro... how nobody brought that up is crazy. Or if they did bring it up, they didn't think it was a big deal. Because within like an hour of them revealing it, everybody was calling it Pisser.
PSSR 2 is planned for launch, but
Pisser 2 has a stronger flow of data. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Its current state.
Wider. I'm not going to do that. Never mind.
I can't really judge image quality yet, aside to say that the usual PSSR artifacts are indeed visible, with smearing around foliage and some ray tracing noise being the most obvious. It'll be very interesting to see how this changes with the upgraded PSSR. But the real reason to use the various performance modes actually stems from performance, and Crimson Desert offers some impressive flexibility here. Essentially, by default, each mode corresponds to a different frame rate target: 60 FPS for performance, 40 for balanced, and 30 for quality. The balance mode, of course, requires a 120 Hz output to function correctly. The performance mode, though, puts up a good fight. I poured a solid 20 hours or so into the game, and most of that was spent in performance mode. By and large, that 60 FPS target is maintained. I was surprised by how good it is overall. But it was also enlightening playing this way without any sort of VRR, as it did help me identify specific areas where it can and does drop. Most of the time, that involves larger crowds. Anything involving tons of NPCs or enemies can drop.
Wait, Jesus, dude, did you see that?
Involves larger crowds. Anything involving tons.
Look at the swarms, dude. Like, okay, it breaks my brain.
Of NPCs or enemies can drop the frame rate.
Yeah,
That's not to say there aren't occasional dips in quieter spots like this, but overall, most of the drops will happen when it's busy. The most significant of which occurred during the Battle for Bug Hill, as I like to call it. Here, war is waging and casualties include the frame rate, which drops significantly, making it far and away the worst spot I found in the game so far. It starts out okay, sometimes hitting 60, sometimes dropping into the 50s, as you do, but once you actually reach the top of Bug Hill, the specific encampment here, we start to see some major drops, and I think this is actually made worse by kiting enemies around, because I came here before my character was ready and would die instantly if hit, so I have a ton of insects chasing me around. And as a result, we actually see the frame rate slip all the way into the 30s. I believe this section is very specifically CPU limited, as it deals with so many active enemies at once. It makes sense. You can trigger similar results in some of the games.
Benefit of that is that it probably doesn't perform significantly worse on the base PS5 because the clock, like the CPU is only like 10% better on the Pro. So I guess there's a silver lining there, but yeah, it seems like there will be areas where the console version might struggle bus. But if it's CPU bound, then that also means that the higher quality settings should also be fairly flat.
Large cities, especially when causing a ruckus like this. Once the crowd starts to panic and the guards rush the player character, the frame rate definitely takes a hit as well. Crucially, it is not the norm at all, so don't take that away from it. But it does show you that certain situations can bring the performance to its knees. In comparison, the 30 and 40 FPS modes are largely more stable overall, holding their targets reasonably well. Like here, I visited Bug Hill in quality mode, and we're rendering 4 times the number of pixels here. It's 4K mode, right? Plus the graphics quality is increased even. Yet despite dipping into the 30s in performance mode, we're actually hitting a stable 30 FPS here in that quality mode, which is pretty great. Weirdly enough, the balance mode actually manages to hit a pretty stable 40 FPS in this area too. All of this can be influenced by dynamic elements, of course, like this run here in the 40 Hz mode. The reason it looks kind of fuzzy is that it started raining. So I'm running through this area in the rain. And yeah, we still see some dips here, but overall it's pretty good. Alas, this is a surprisingly heavy game, and
there's one thing I hope that for next gen they do is that they actually give a significant CPU boost, because I think the CPU stuff is what's really limited the scope and scale of a lot of these games that have heavy simulation and lots of NPCs and stuff like that. And instead, you know, most of the effort has been put into like GPU stuff for ray tracing and all that. Like I'd much rather I'd much rather them put a little effort into things that actually are quantifiable with like mechanics.
I don't mean in terms of performance, I mean the way it feels to play. It seems intentional, but at 30 FPS, the camera and the character movement feel less responsive than I'd have normally liked. Thus, I do recommend the 40 or 60 FPS modes, which help a bit. The thing is, the game feels similarly heavy on PC, even at higher frame rates, so I think it's a design choice. Now, if not for capturing, I think I'd have probably stuck with the 40 FPS mode, since I feel like it finds a nice balance between image quality and performance, but once we factor in the new PSSR, it might actually make sense just to stick with performance the entire time. The thing is though, if you drop into the options menu, you might notice something else. There's a V-Sync toggle. Let me start by saying that if you're not using a VRR display, do not turn on this option. It is horrifically bad and clearly not intended for use without VRR.
For the love of God, do not do that. Oh my God, dude. So there's some graphical problems that like I don't care about, that like I can tune out, like the flickering or like hazing and stuff. I'm good. I can handle that. But bro, screen tearing triggers the fudge out of me. Like I cannot handle screen tearing. There's something about it that just makes me angry. Like I just hate it. So yeah, this is bad.
Start by saying that if you're not using a VRR display, do not turn on this option. It is horrifically bad and clearly not intended for use without VRR.
And you know there's people that would do that and be like, fix your game. It's like you kind of did that to yourself.
I mean, just look at this. The results are extremely awful. Don't use it. Trust me. but it does become useful when combined with VRR. But mainly just in performance mode. You see, despite the 120Hz container, the VRR in this game does not seem to support low frame rate compensation like some other major first-party titles. So when it dips out of the VRR range, screen tearing reappears. This makes the setting unsuitable for quality and even balanced mode because tearing does appear. When coupled with performance mode, however, it's legitimately cool and allows frame rates that go above 60 FPS. It's honestly the most responsive and smooth feeling mode in the game, and as you can see, manages to keep frame rates under control. I did a full walk from one area to the other, and it gives a good idea of what you can expect. Using this mode, you won't really detect frame rate dips at all outside of perhaps places like Bug Hill. Honestly though, when it comes to overall performance, I do think the results here are pretty good. When you consider the scope of the game and the reasonably high resolution targets, more than we see with any other UE5 games, that's for sure, the results are pretty impressive. Reflecting on all the various big open world games this gen, Crimson Desert is one of the better performers overall. It's not perfect by any means, and I do have some issues with certain image quality things, but still, I think it's fair to say that the console version, at least on PS5 Pro, is very good. So, with the performance situation firmly established on PS5 Pro, we await the other consoles to see how it stacks up there. But regardless, there are a few other cool things I wanted to talk about that caught my eye.
Yeah, my guess is, I mean, again, they pointed it out already with the stat sheet in the spec sheet. For base console performance, the base PS5 and Series X and S, I think for the Series X and the PS5, playing on performance mode is probably going to be the way to go. 30 FPS is maybe, you know, if you can handle it, that's cool. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm just somebody with this game. I've played a lot of it. I would not play this at 30. Like high intensity action sequences require like pretty tight responses. And so playing at like 30 would be really tough for me at least. So like Series S, I'm sure it runs on the Series S at 720p 30, but I would be hard pressed to play that version, you know,
while playing this game. And to do that, I want to take you on a small journey. You see, early on, I made the decision to test the open world, not knowing what was in store for me, nor how large the game world really was. So I set a waypoint just out in the middle of nowhere to sort of guide me in the proper direction, and I just went. It started smoothly enough. Riding across these gorgeous fields on my horse, I marveled at the realistic sky rendering, the atmospheric light scattering. It felt so realistic and impressive. I appreciated the sheer density of the environment around me, the grass blades swaying in the wind, the trees, the foliage, the interactions with the horse, the way every hoof matches the terrain. Yeah, there's definitely some visible LOD popping along the way, which I don't love, but given the scale and the performance, it's understandable. Eventually, I reached this lengthy wall running across the terrain and decided to ride full speed towards this scaffolding, and was surprised at how seamlessly you could leap off your horse and grab onto the structure. Very cool stuff. Of course, it was seemingly for nothing as my horse was able to just walk right through here on the bottom when I called him. Oh well. So I continued, and my next idea was to sort of wreak havoc in a nearby field to test the game's physics and performance. That's where I discovered horse drifting, where you can essentially sharply spin the horse around in circles in a way that feels awesome. Impressively, most smaller objects in the environment can be knocked down or destroyed by simply ramming into them, making this a lot of fun. There is a small delay when destroying physics-based items, but still, it feels really great. I then rode towards a small nearby village and attempted to knock down these things as well, only to mistakenly reveal an enemy that was just hiding in the middle. Then suddenly, from off-screen, a giant guard leaped into action and eliminated him immediately. Whoa. With that, though, I decided to continue forward, looking for anything interesting, and it's here that I noticed the somewhat noisy ray-traced lighting visible along the foliage here, and that reminded me that we're looking at the original PSSR. We'll be very curious to see how this looks with the upgraded PSSR at launch. But moving forward, I decided it was time to play around with some guards just to sort of test the AI, right? The results, I thought, were interesting. So after angering them, I ran away and decided to climb up on the roof of this house just to see what would happen. Turns out these guards can climb as well, and they quickly tried to overwhelm me. While the shields clipping through the roof looks a bit awkward, the result of fighting them on the roof was really interesting. I was trying to kick them off, knock them down the slope, etc., and was doing okay, but eventually they overwhelmed me. So I tried to run again, and this time they killed me, causing me to respawn nearby. And it's from this respawn point that I randomly stumbled upon this circus, and honestly, this one really surprised me as well because it felt strangely lively. There was no story reason to be here, at least not yet.
Oh, God, napping.
But wow, look at this. The frame rate, of course, was a little unstable here, but I was surprised to see that there was an actual circus performance happening inside this tent.
Just watch how every one of the NPCs, like, these are all motion captured. Like, it's crazy. Because again, I'm coming off of AC Shadows, okay? Like, I'm sorry, I'm a little scarred. AC Shadows, I thought, did a lot of interesting things. I think it was a step in the right direction, at least thematically and in terms of structure for the franchise. I liked it more than I liked Valhalla in terms of that setup and everything, but it was kind of undeniable that they turned the dials down a lot when it came to motion capture, when it came to kind of handcrafted, bespoke performances like that. You would walk into a city and all of the NPCs are standing arms down. If you have a conversation, it's all procedural. None of it is actually handcrafted or motion captured at all. And so seeing this is crazy.
The frame rate, of course.
They're all motion captured. This one's dancing. They're dancing together. Like, all of this has been motion captured specifically for this. Like, you just don't see that level of effort nowadays. It's crazy.
Was a little unstable here, but I was surprised to see that there was an actual circus performance happening inside this tent, all lit with real-time ray tracing. Very, very cool, right?
Look at the performance jumping on their shoulders.
I stumbled back outside and figured I'd mess with the AI again, so I tried to attack NPCs. This revealed that when you first swipe at NPCs, they actually just fall back and avoid your blade. But if you keep doing this, eventually the circle of pain draws around your character, and everything within this circle that is, say, a guard or an enemy will suddenly come for you. What impressed me, though, is the way in which the crowds dispersed. Not just randomly in all directions, rather they actually made their way as a group towards the exit in a panic.
Dude, look.
As the guards then entered the scene to take me out. Which recalls something
Look how many
cool
there are
about fighting, because you see similar behavior with enemies as well. If, say, you're fighting some bandits and you kill most of them, there's a point where some remaining enemies might actually freak out and just attempt to run away from you. You can, of course, take them out with an arrow if you're a good shot, mind you. It's a neat touch that adds a tinge of realism to the encounters. I really like the AI behavior in this game. From there, though, I kept moving forward, and eventually that's where I found Bug Hill, as I mentioned earlier, and this was quite a shock when I first found it. You see, up until this point, everything had this sort of grounded medieval flavor, but suddenly we had mechanical insects, airships, balloons, orcs, all fighting on the side of the mountain, and it looked super cool. This is when I did some of my performance testing, of course, but eventually I survived Bug Hill and found this amazing orc city built upon a mountain, which looked wholly unlike anything else I'd seen in the game yet. The sheer level of detail, the pipes, and the ornate structures really impressed. But it was time to continue, and as night fell, I noticed a city in the distance, and that city seemed to be illuminated by electric lights. Sure enough, it was. This sort of farmland was just spread out across the terrain. At first, we thought it was Nazca lines, but it's actually an electric farm of some sorts. Very strange, very different mood as well. The HDR in this scene, by the way, was very impactful. I loved both the lights with the strong highlight, as well as the beautiful night sky with its gorgeous volumetric cloud system. So I continued, climbing the mountain in the darkness with just my torch, fumbling around. Night is really
See the
dark
plane
in this
up there?
game, and it makes navigation more treacherous. I ended up exploring the cliffs, engaging a few foes, before eventually finding this view, which is just awesome. Rather than diving in though, I decided to take a left turn of sorts and make my way down to the shore to check out the water and take in the view. The water was beautiful. Of course I was ready to capture the scene. It really feels like you're standing at the edge of the world, but of course you're not. So I kept moving, this time walking down the beach, eventually reaching this sort of rocky terrain. That was where I decided to test the climbing system again, and yeah, it works similarly to Breath of the Wild. You have a stamina meter and can climb most surfaces. It's actually influenced by heat and cold as well, which makes it harder to climb such surfaces. What I really like about it though is the way the animation system successfully matches your character's hands to logical positions as you climb the surface. It feels very gratifying as a result. Eventually, I made it to the top, and waiting for me up here turned out to be a rainforest. And the mood shifted greatly because it's not just a rainforest, it actually started to rain. Your local torch lights
That's why they call it that.
up the droplets around you in a beautiful fashion as the area around your character is battered by the storm. Other lighting effects like this random blue glow from something produces dramatic results as well. What I loved about this sequence in the jungle is that the fog and rain combined with the thickness of the trees really limits your view. It really feels isolated, as if you were actually exploring a deep jungle. Along the way, I navigated rapids, appreciating that awesome water system, dealt with a few more enemies in their encampments, walked along some cliff sides, including making some leaps of faith, before eventually reaching the edge of the forest itself. And that's when the rain started to let up, which highlighted another cool detail. Rain actually leaves behind puddles that persist for hours of game world time. It's not just a binary thing where it's rainy or not. It actually comes and goes realistically, leaving its mark, something that really adds to the realism. By this point though, I managed to climb up the side of this steep.
That's a synchronization point if I've ever seen it. You gotta do a leap of faith from there down into a bale of hay. I've seen that before. Call it a hunch.
Cliff and found myself staring out across the Crimson Desert itself. From the opening village to the top of this mountain here, it took me roughly 4 hours of traversal and exploration. So yeah, I think you get it by now. The amount of variety on display here is outstanding.
It took him 4 hours to go that stretch. That's crazy. Because if you bear in mind, like, look at this. So talk to the chief of Tinkerton. That's been his objective this whole time. And that is 4.5 kilometers away, like off over there somewhere. So that's how far he's gone. But like all of that, like meandering and exploration, 4 hours. That's crazy.
And what I've shown you is just a small taste, a tiny path through the game world, a simple walk from one part of the map to another that became a memorable adventure. And this is before exploring the character's abilities or allowing the story to get started.
Yeah, bear in mind, that is with a like level 1 character. Like he's done no stamina, health upgrades. He has no movement upgrades or improvements. Like that is starting point. And so I'm sure exploration's even more engaging beyond that once you have abilities.
I haven't felt this need to explore since games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or perhaps Breath of the Wild. This is without a doubt one of the most impressive open world experiences I've ever had. I genuinely found myself asking the question, how the heck did they do this over and over again? It really is that cool. And all of it worked great on PlayStation 5 Pro, even in this pre-release state. Of course, it's not perfect. As noted, performance can dip at times. There are some visual bugs with the displacement mapping in RT, and in some cases actual bugs, like here in the desert where I found myself swimming above the water at one point. Plus the loading sequence when loading a save is weirdly lengthy with this animation and music that sort of plays out before you're dropped into the world, which thankfully Respawning on death is very quick, and there's no other loading times during actual gameplay, so it's not a huge deal.
That's one thing I saw in my preview that I've already talked about, but in the preview, I found that like loading in for the first time, like from the game closed to opening it, loading in, is lengthy. It takes a while. Kind of reminds me of Red Dead 2, honestly. Like Red Dead 2 also has a long load in time. Once you're in, there's no load screens, but getting in takes a minute.
Even with all that though, this is fantastic on PS5 Pro. They actually did it. Which brings us to the end of our first contact with the game. There's still so much more to explore here. Like, I feel like I've just gotten started. And again, this is not a game that was super high on my hype list. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And yet, what I've played here just felt unbelievable at times, even on the console. So I'll be curious, of course, how it plays on other machines, and that's something we'll report on very soon. That's going to do it for this video, however, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Oh baby. Oh baby. I mean, I'm gonna be real. Yeah, PS5 Pro owners, rise up. So there's still questions, obviously, with base console performance and like Series S and X performance. My guess is PS5 and Series X performance will be roughly in line. And based on the stat sheet that they've provided, I think it's probably in that range of like 1440p for quality, and then probably 1080p for performance mode. And that's pretty standard to other AAA like games that we've seen recently. So I think that's where it's probably going to sit. The real question comes with like Series S, because that is the only version of the game that will be running without ray tracing. And I don't think we've seen any looks at what that looks like. So I would be cautious, you know, wouldn't get my hopes up too much that runs or looks particularly good. But, you know, if you don't have another option, then maybe that's worth it. That being said, overall, really impressive. Really intriguing, and I am excited to see how this goes. Obviously, he pointed out some like bugs towards the end. That's the other question with this, is with any big game, you got to wonder about bugs, because that's just an artifact of them. Like there's always going to be bugs when your game is massive. How impactful they are is the bigger question. And also, you know, whether they are interrupting or if they're easily fixed. If it's something where it's like it's a bug, but you reload, that's not that big of a deal. It's obviously frustrating and you'd prefer it not to happen. But if it's something where it's like, nope, it has to be patched, that's obviously a bigger problem if there's like soft locks and things like that. In my preview, I ran into some bugs that were fixable with just reloads, but I don't know if that's going to be the case with the final version, if there's going to be bigger bugs or whatever. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on as well. But overall, very, very impressive. The review embargo lifts on the 18th. And I mean, I'm thinking that this is just going to keep popping off. I mean, dude, they're getting to the point where regular tweets about the game, just showing gameplay and little tidbits about it, are starting to go viral regularly. This could end up being like, as some have suggested, the second biggest game of the year. I mean, we're talking selling, you know, the best selling game of the year, just under GTA 6. I think it's like absolutely crazy. It's getting crazy. That being said, I do want to be clear, based on my preview. This is what I said after my preview, okay? I think this is a game some people are going to love, and it will be a generational open world game that they devour. For some people, they're just not going to get it, because some people, what you just saw demonstrated here with like, I'm going to go explore and walk over there and see what I find over here. I found the circus. Let me go explore the circus. That's how some people play. For others, they hear that and they're like, no, tell me where to go. Where's my quest marker? Where's the yellow paint? They need more guidance. That's okay. There's lots of great games that have more guidance and more yellow paint. That is not this game. That is not this game. To be very, very clear, this is a game that like gives you a couple of like mechanics, not a couple, a lot of mechanics, but they give you a bunch of tools and then like, go make your own fun, go crazy. And just figure it out. And so some people love that. Some people are going to hate it for sure. Now, the only other thing to circle back on with this is something that popped this morning, which you can already see people mentioning in some of the comments. For example, Joshua Lambert mentioned, hopefully Denuvo doesn't completely tank the performance like it does for a lot of titles. Nick Tech replied, adding Denuvo 1 week before release worries me a lot. It could tank the performance if it is not implemented properly. And this is one thing that I'm also genuinely intrigued by. So Denuvo, if you don't know, because we might have some, I know we have some console players and stuff hanging out with us. So let me pull this up so that you can see. But let's see. So this was put out this morning or late yesterday, it looks like. Crimson Desert reveals it will use controversial DRM just a week before launch. They have an update though. It will use Denuvo on Steam and Green fans who already pre-ordered it. Basically, Denuvo is a third-party DRM or anti-tamper software. And the big limitation that has caused people to really get riled up and upset, even to the point of some canceling their pre-orders and stuff, is that they have a limit. So the limit is 5 different PCs within a day is the machine activation limit. So to be clear, there's kind of 2 ways of looking at this, okay? With my understanding of how this works, the different PC activation is limited to the hardware of your PC. So for example, if you like swapped out your GPU or like you boot the game and you're like, okay, that's cool. I'm also going to install it on my gaming laptop and my Legion Go, and I'm going to install it on all these devices. I'm going to upgrade my GPU. Now that's considered as another PC on the list and everything. So it tallies up. And the limiting factor is 5 different PCs within a day, meaning if you try to boot the game on over 5 devices in a day, what they consider to be devices, it will not allow you to. It'll give you, I don't know if it's an error code, if it just refuses to boot. I don't have 5 gaming PCs or devices to test it on, but my understanding is it will just not boot, right? In addition, Denuvo has a long and storied history of hurting performance on games. Now, my understanding is it's gotten a lot better over the years, and it when implemented properly, it doesn't affect performance that much. Like it'll affect it maybe like 4 or 5 frames per second out of 130, you know, if you're really cranking it, but it doesn't help performance at the very least. Now, this is why people are frustrated by it. It also is just like another factor that prevents you from like tinkering with your game. It locks down a lot of the files and things so that you can't mess with it. Now, to flip it and look at the other side, okay, from Crimson Desert's developer Pearl Abyss and what they're doing. I mentioned this earlier in the stream, but I realized I don't think that this was largely public, so I'm going to keep this vague. There was a big AAA game in the last 2 years. I'll keep it vague. But there's a big AAA game in the last 2 years where they like sent out review codes and stuff for the game, like 2 or 3 weeks before launch. I don't remember exactly what it was. But a reviewer, I think it was somebody with like a magazine or that you've never heard of or something like that. But it was a reviewer went and like straight up copy and pasted all of the files for the game and put it in a Google Drive or a Dropbox or, you know, one of those cloud services. And they started selling access to that drive through like whatever online means. I don't know how you would even do that, but they apparently started doing that. And so the game started leaking ahead of time because they just opened it up to people. And then some dude went and started selling access to the game early, which is really stupid because they figured it out pretty quickly. I mean, it was relatively easy to track it back and figure out what happened, but somebody was doing that. Some reviewer was like selling access to the game early. And so a lot of other studios were like, oh, we don't like that. So they're locking it down with DRM to try and prevent things like that from happening. It also is just a general anti-piracy approach because they lock it down until it's cracked by you know, tech wizards. It's locked down, so you can't just pirate the game. And with this game being really hotly anticipated, I think they're worried about piracy, so they're introducing the DRM stuff. Pearl Abyss, I'm sure, would also say it's 5 different PCs within a day, the next day it resets. So even if you swapped out PC parts multiple times and you hit that 5 device limit, just boot it tomorrow. Just do it tomorrow. So I think where a lot of the outrage from some, and to be clear, it seems right now like it's a group of passionate PC players that feel specifically misled because they might have pre-ordered the game and they didn't know that this was being added. As confirmed by Steam DB, this text was added to the store page on Thursday, so it was not known that they were going to do this prior to that. And Denuvo DRM, while it has certainly improved over the years, is not a fan favorite among PC players. The DRM is designed to stop people from cracking the game and spreading it online via pirate sites, and it mostly works at accomplishing the task, at least for a while. However, Denuvo has caused performance issues in many games over the years, something the company has admitted in the past and then later denied, but yeah, they go back and forth on it. So players weren't pleased to learn just a week before launch that Crimson Desert would include it. One user in the comment under their post said, really scummy move adding Denuvo this last moment. Denuvo last week before launch. Glad I waited before buying. Saved me my money. Welp off the wish list it goes then. I'm not going to be forced to ask permission to play something that I pay you for, said one Reddit user. And they go on. Then, okay, Perlibus actually sent over a statement. What did they say? They said, quote, the benchmark videos and performance specs we released were all created with the exact same implementation of Denuvo that is in the launch build. Okay, well, that answered one question, because I was going to ask, like, did the performance tests and stuff drop with the pre-Denuvo version, or is it after Denuvo? But they're saying it's using Denuvo that's in the launch build, so it's the same performance. This includes the performance-based videos by Digital Foundry. It's important that reviewers and benchmarkers' experience with the game is ultimately representative of the final consumer's experience, they say. And as Dina K maybe says, it's the sneakiness that's a bad look. Do it or don't do it, but don't be weak sauce about it. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where they could have revealed it that they intended to do it weeks ago, but people would get upset, and so they waited till a week before and then they dropped it. Overall, this is just going to be a person-to-person matter. So some people really care about it and like, obviously will cancel their pre-orders or wish lists or whatever and decide not to play it until like little behind the scenes stuff. Usually Denuvo, like, they're able to crack it pretty quickly. So if you're a player who really cares about it, what has historically happened with AAA games is once it's cracked, they strip it out because they don't want to pay licensing fees to Denuvo to use it because it's expensive. So they strip it out once it's been cracked because it's not worth it anymore. So if you're still interested in the game because you had it wishlisted or pre-ordered, the time will probably come where Denuvo is no longer a factor, you know? So patience will be rewarded, I'm sure. But if you're somebody that like just doesn't care about it in particular, I don't think you're a bad person or you're like a sucker. If you don't care about it, that's fine. Most people don't know what Denuvo is. I know that's shocker. That's like a shocker if you are a PC gamer and you're in this, but for the average console player or even somebody that's newer to PC gaming, they have no idea what Denuvo is and they probably don't care. Patience will make me God. Dude, I forgot they had that marketing. I forgot they did that. Well, what was that marketing push? Yeah. What was it? Extraction will make me God or something. What did they call that? I don't, escape will make me God maybe? I forgot about that. Yeah. You wouldn't download a car. You wouldn't steal a baby. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, let's see, most PC gamers don't either until they're told to be upset about it. Well, I think, again, like if with so many of these types of topics and issues, if a game fails to meet one of your standards, like the job of the company is to sell you a product. And if it has some big asterisk that you have a problem with, then yeah, you shouldn't buy it. You know, like that's your right as a consumer not to buy it. Like, I respect you sticking to your guns. I think the key is to just like, I don't think you're a bad person if you don't really care about Denuvo implementation. Because to be fair, Denuvo has been implemented in pretty much every major AAA game of the last 15 years, it feels like. And there's been some incredible games that Denuvo has been implemented in. Whoops. There we go. It doesn't make you a bad person for like not having that on your do not cross the line list, you know. RE9 has it, but I didn't see anybody complain about it. Well, I'm sure if RE9 does have it, I'm not sure. I guess I can look up RE9 Denuvo. Let's see. I don't support Denuvo because I believe anti-tamper systems often hurt legitimate consumers more than they stop piracy, performance concerns, always online requirements. That's what this place was missing. Another Denuvo topic. Sorry. That's funny. I already bought the game, but unlike Denuvo fetishists like you, I care more about my game performance. Okay. Dude, people get passionate about it. See what I mean? But yeah, apparently Requiem has Denuvo, and that didn't really come up with that discussion. Yeah, I think it's, if you really care about it, and for you, it's where you draw the line. Okay, cool. Awesome. But I think that you shouldn't then like rage against people who don't share your same purity test that it didn't pass. Like, I think it makes sense why people are upset about it, why it might feel kind of sneaky. That's fine. I can see that. But I don't think that if, you know, Joe Smith doesn't care about Denuvo implementation, that doesn't make him a bad person or an idiot. It's just, okay. I didn't know what Denuvo was until today. Well, I think a lot of people don't know what it is because it's implemented kind of quietly in every major AAA game. And you only know about Denuvo if you're pretty deep into this, you know, the PC side of gaming. And so the Mormon, Joe Smith? Oh, I guess that is Joseph Smith. I didn't even realize. I was like, what's a really generic dude name? Joe Smith. I accidentally named the Mormon prophet. My bad. Anyway, yeah, if Joseph Smith wants to play Crimson Desert and he doesn't care about Denuvo, I don't think that makes him a bad person. I think that's this. It gets tricky when you bring up a religious leader in a hypothetical. So I'm just gonna move on. John Crimson, there you go. That's better. That's better. But anyway, there you go. There's the information. If you are somebody that really cares about Denuvo implementation and that's where you draw the line, now you can make an informed decision. And I respect that. Oh my God. A story just popped up that is way stupider than anything we were just, oh my God. Gaming Copilot. We're going to talk about this in a second. Anyway, if Jesus, Copilot for gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. We live in the worst timeline. Anyway, there you go. So if you care about Denuvo implementation, there you go. Now you know. But otherwise, Crimson Desert performance-wise looks crazy and very, very impressive. New segment. Yeah, exactly. New segment. Okay. Everybody buckle up. Buckle up. Pillows strapped to your hands. Oven mitts, I would take even. Maybe just sit on them. I'll catch up on super chats just a second, guys. I appreciate your patience. Let me just read this. This just popped up on my feed and I don't know how to handle it. Gaming Copilot is coming to Xbox consoles later this year. We'll read the full article in just a second. Quote, we will bring Gaming Copilot to the current generation consoles, and we will continue to bring it to more services that players are playing, said the manager for gaming AI at Xbox, Sonali Yadav. Okay, let's read the full thing. Quick shout out, underrated comment. Daniel Ahmad, great news for Microsoft Flight Simulator fans. It's funny. It's important to find the upside in these things. Again, anybody who's like, oh no, I think the new leadership at Xbox is not going to do the AI stuff. I'm sure she was the head of core AI for no reason, and they didn't promote her because of that. I'm sure that's unrelated. Xbox just revealed Gaming Copilot is coming to current gen consoles later this year. Microsoft announced that its Gaming Copilot Assistant, which has been available in beta on PC, mobile, and the ROG Xbox Ally since last year, will be coming to current-gen consoles in 2026. Quote, I'm excited to announce that later this year, we will bring Gaming Copilot to the current generation consoles, and we will continue to bring it to more services that players are playing, said Xbox Gaming AI Partner Group Product Manager Sonali Yadav, revealed at Xbox or at Game Developers Conference at a panel. Presumably current generation consoles means Series X and S. Yeah, I would assume. As it currently exists on other platforms, Gaming Copilot lets you ask guide-like questions about the game you're currently playing. Microsoft's official site offers an example question like, can you remind me what materials I need to craft a sword in Minecraft? You can also ask for game recommendations or your own play history or account details. Helpful, I suppose, if you've forgotten when your Game Pass subscription is set to renew. Gaming Copilot has been in beta for some time on non-console platforms without much wider buzz, positive or negative, in the gaming community. Yeah, they kind of intentionally have kept it pretty buried. But that may change once the AI assistant reaches wider audience on Xbox consoles. Either way, Microsoft appreciates the data from those who have used the feature up to this point in beta. Quote, we've learned a lot this past year and appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten from the community. Okay. Microsoft, this is also an article from March of last year when they initially started implementing this, just in case you're wondering what the overall vision is. The vision is for it to help you get good at everything from Overwatch 2 to Minecraft by watching you play and giving you advice. So it will literally, their vision for this at its peak is it could watch you play like a round of Overwatch and then like critique how you handled a situation. And be like, oh, you shouldn't have used your ultimate there. You should have pivoted, moved over there, and used your ultimate there. It'll backseat you. Yeah. Now, in an ideal world, okay, let's say they achieve general intelligence, okay, AGI or whatever, and it actually is always able to give you the best possible feedback for some gaming tactic or something, okay? Which I think is a stretch, but let's say hypothetically that is the case. Who asked? Like, do I care? Not really. Maybe, you know, I'm just being a square. Maybe I'm being a boomer and the younger generation is like, I love that. I'd love the feedback. I'm always open to it. I would find this really annoying. So if it's like an opt-in thing where you have to ask for the feedback, okay, that's a separate thing, but I'm guessing they're going to be more involved. But let's be perfectly honest. Has anybody used Copilot? I don't think it's a crazy thing to say that the implementation of this is probably not going to be great. Like, they have forced Copilot into everything. Literally, when I pull up MS Paint, they literally have a Copilot button. They've put it everywhere. And they still can't get people to use it because people hate it. It's just bad, okay? It's just bad. So what are the odds that Copilot magically figures out how to do this? Like, what's it? The best example of this, especially with games, and the reason why I don't think these neural network based AI systems, the reason why I don't think, especially LLMs, the reason why I don't think they will ever achieve anything resembling intelligence, especially as it pertains to gaming, is that these AI bots still cannot, sorry, the sound scared me. Thank you for the bits. They still cannot figure out how to play chess. Have you seen like the Gotham chess videos where he gets the two AIs to play chess against each other? It's insane because, like, just to put this in perspective, these AI tools have access to the whole internet's database of chess books, chess games, the rules for chess. They have everything available to them to, in theory, if they're actually learning and if they're actually intelligent, to play chess in the best possible way. Is that what they do?
GPT plays the very principled move. Everybody knows this. When an opponent's queen is hanging to 3 different pieces, in this, the right thing to do, folks, is to take the piece in front of the king because you get to open up their position. That is what you should do, which is why in this position, ChatGPT followed up on the bishop capture and played queen d2 with the idea to threaten to take the queen for like the 13th time this game. Queen d2 and yeah, king g7, the powerful response here chosen from meta, defending both of its pawns and re-blundering 14 points of material for another move in a row. But you haven't seen anything yet. Here, knight d4 chosen, a very powerful idea, now threatening the queen again. 3 different ways, just absolutely immortal stuff here. Finally, Meta AI wakes up and realizes I need to defend my rook and also get my queen out of danger, and it doesn't defend its rook or get its queen out of danger, as you can still take the queen and the rook is still 100% free, and it took! But the plot twists of this game are not done. Meta AI now proceeds to start playing intergalactic chess, because in this position, it responds to losing its queen by playing rook. This is the scariest part, because you have no idea where this rook is going to teleport. This rook is now a missile. It is flying somewhere, and it flies toward A1, to which ChatGPT promptly responds.
Like, these are allegedly the AIs that are going to change the world and allow us to innovate and do crazy things. And they can't even play chess. They can't even play chess because that's not how they work. That's not how these LLMs or anything work. They don't understand things. They don't understand things. They can't think. That's not how they work. They look at input text and then they try and associate the most likely response text based on their training. It's not understanding things. That's just not how it works. Like, they don't even understand the basic moves and rules of chess. I learned how to play chess according to my dad. I was too young. I don't even remember learning how to play chess. But according to my dad, I learned how to play chess when I was 3. A 3-year-old at least wouldn't be making up moves like that. Like, that's crazy, dude. So I don't frankly worry about, you know, AI replacing big brain people. It's good at replacing, you know, menial tasks and doing those quickly, summarizing text and, you know, text input, output for LLMs. That works. Neural network stuff can be useful for other things as well, but it's certainly not at the level where it's going to like turn into a supercomputer genius brain. That being said, I like hearing that Microsoft wants to do Copilot gaming stuff and that their vision is for it to be able to watch you play and then understand the match and understand the metas of the characters, understand when you should have used this ult versus that ult and do all of this. I'll believe it when I see it, man. Because I don't think that's what it's going to do. I think what it's going to do is it's going to listen to all of your input text and it's going to use that for targeting ads towards you. And then they're going to serve ads all over the place and be like, hey, if you liked Overwatch, we'd recommend you try this new game, Horizon Hunter's Gathering, or like, you know, the PlayStation Live Service game. I think it's going to be stupid stuff like that. And it brings me back to the point, what is the benefit to the player? Like, what is the benefit that they get from this? Because like, I don't think they're ever going to be able to achieve this vision. I don't think it's ever going to do that. I think it's effectively going to be a crappy, like, ask me a question and then I'll give you an answer that it Googles, or that it Bings real quick. And then it's going to give you that answer that's probably wrong. And it's going to be used once and then never again by anybody. Because you know what they're going to do instead? They're going to pull out their phone, their iPhone, and they're going to ask Siri. And Siri is going to use Google Gemini to search for it and get the answer more accurately than Copilot. So I don't think it's going to make any sort of difference, but they're going to keep pushing it. And if you think that this is where it's going to stop, no. Again, they just put as CEO of Xbox the former head of Core AI. Like, they put somebody in position, the top position, who smokes this stuff on the daily. Who smokes it? She literally said, I'm not, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the clip because you might think I'm making this up. You might think I'm making it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. I don't remember exactly where the chat was held. I might have to find it on X. Please hold. If I can't find it, I'll give up. Don't worry. Let me see if I can find it here. Nope. Okay, I can't find it. So okay. We'll do another segment on that. She has said some wild things about what she thinks AI will be able to solve in the future, which I think is kind of delusional. Considering again, it can't even learn the basic rules of chess, which a 3-year-old can do. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, loading. I've noticed when I can't find it in the first 20 seconds, I probably won't be able to find it in the first 2 minutes. So instead of making you sit here and wait, I'm not gonna do that, you know. What is this? Hold on. Eurogamer posted, people were just not ready for Starfield, says the game's composer as he talks visionary Todd Howard. Everyone associated with this game is somehow incapable of understanding that a lot of people just didn't like Starfield. The game design didn't click. Everything was too far apart and you were often playing a menu simulator with a boring cast of characters. Some people like it. I can respect that, but the vast majority of people did not. Steam reviews is best indicator, 80K reviews and only 57% are positive. That's pretty bad. And all I keep hearing about Bethesda is excuses. Yeah, I mean, it is funny. That is funny. It's pretty stupid. Other little quick tidbit just to circle before I catch up on super chats. Microsoft also has pulled the This Is an Xbox campaign pages. The announcement post on their website they've deleted. You can still see it on the website archive, but they've started to strip the everything's an Xbox marketing campaign. So it's slowly getting deleted and cleared out. Slowly but surely getting cleared out and deleted. Real quick, let me catch up on these. Okay. Shari, thank you for the 2. Thomas the Tank Wonders of Sodor is clearly game of the year. Obviously, frankly. Hyper Not IQ, thank you for the 5. Thoughts on Fatal Frame 2 remake. Also, I emailed last week and have received an update regarding the Discord. Let me take a note and search for it. It might have ended up in the spam folder, but I will check that. Okay. Thank you, my friend, for letting me know again. We get a lot of emails. A lot for stuff you wouldn't even believe. Tell you what. Let's see. Fatal Frame 2 remake. I don't know anything about it, unfortunately, so I can't really offer any thoughts about it. So I'm sorry, I don't have more to say. A Japanese-style horror adventure game. 2 sisters become lost in an abandoned village haunted by vengeful spirits. It seems interesting. I'll keep the tab open. I'll look it up. I'm just not familiar with it, so I won't try to say anything about it right now. Tony, thank you for the 5. I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I know I'm the problem. Well, as long as you know. That's the first step, right? Search Marathon parody trailer. I've been hoping you'd see it. Marathon parody trailer. Which one is it? Which one is it? Or, you know, you could submit it in the Discord. Maybe that's the way to do it. Submit it in the Discord, and then I know exactly which one you're talking about. Let me know. Or wait, is this just it? Oh no, yeah, you're Joshua Champion. Okay. It's literally this one, like the top one. Let's see. You cut this together? It better be good. Worms. Honestly, I would respect it so much. Community source start where okay, that is funny. Okay, that's funny. That's funny. I'll give you that one. I don't see why I should be super excited about it. I will complete the Concordia trilogy. This game won't be any good. Dude, honestly, I think it could actually Concord 3. I think it could actually be really funny if a live service game came out and like intentionally tried to meme all of the failed live service games. Like I actually think that that would potentially be pretty good. I like imagine if a game did launch and it was like inspired by Concord, by Suicide Squad, and it has little bitty bits of all of those games intertwined. Dude, I'd play it just for the memes. It would make more money than Concord, I'll tell you what. New South Park game, literally, I think they could do that. It'd be freaking hilarious. Because then anybody who's like, this looks uninspired. Thank you. You get it. Thank you. Somebody finally understands it. Like, it would be great. It would be great. That's a free idea. Somebody out there, go for it. Do you think a Far Cry Primal 2 would do well? I would honestly, I'd be interested in seeing it. Deucin Weirdo, thank you for the bits, by the way. I would be interested in seeing it. I don't know if they're going to try to do that until they get their ducks in a row. Like that's more of an experimental spin-off project, and they can't even get like main projects out right now, consistently at least. So I think, you know, maybe one day they would try it, but as of right now, I don't think it makes sense to try. Yeah. So yeah. Also Captain V Trigger also mentioned, watch your short on YouTube, how games could benefit from being 60. A thumbnail had Pragmata at 70, but it'll actually be 60. Could be an editing error. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. Just a little oversight there. Hyper Pragmata, thanks for letting us know. I will let the team know. Yeah, I think it's just it's like, oh, it's a big upcoming game, so it's gonna be 70. I think it was just an oversight. Appreciate you letting us know. Appreciate you. Let's see. I read that one. Thank you again, Joshua, for the suggestion and for the 20. That's very generous. LV7ED, thank you for the 2. Luke, is this game safe to pre-order on Steam yet? I always say wait for reviews to be the absolute safest, but everybody's internal metrics of when they're settled on it and when they're convinced is different. Because obviously there's some games where you don't want spoilers. And so if you're like, I really want this game and you don't want something spoiled, so you don't want to watch reviews, you don't want to see anything like that, you might pre-order it and be convinced of it before you see that. It's just, you know, you got to be careful with that stuff. Let's see. Squareband, thank you for the 5 again. Graphics are getting to the point where I straight up can't see a difference. Even artifacting things don't bother me, which is nice. I mean, it is getting to the point where it's just little bells and whistles you might be able to notice. You know, you might be able to notice those little things, but other than that, not really. Did you talk about the Fallout 3 toy thing? What Fallout 3 toy thing? Do you mean this? Just searching Fallout 3 toy, this pops up. Is that what you mean? Or is there something else? Oh, Maddie covered it? A remake leak? Oh. Oh, it's Fallout Remastered merch? Oh. No, I've not seen that. I've not seen that. Maybe we'll circle back and talk about that Monday. We can circle back to that. I don't know if it's like an actual leak. Fallout 3 remaster leak. I gotta be careful searching on YouTube like that. Oh, was it this? Oh, from McFarlane Toys. I did see this a few days ago. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they had a list of all sorts of like toys and different merch items. Helldivers 2, Ghost Machine, Marvel Games Collection, Wolverine statues, stuff like that. And then they also had Elite Edition 7-inch Fallout 3 Remastered, number 13, T45B Nuka-Cola. It's like, oh, I didn't know there was a remaster. Oh, interesting. 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 There you go. So there you go. Sorry, I had top chat turned on, fam, so I think that's why it was flooding like that, but that's why. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay, when you have top chat, it filters out the spam, but it yeah, that's funny. Anyway, not to dwell on it. That's funny. Let's see. I read that one. Okay. Garrett Cole, thank you for the 10. I play on Xbox Series X and I plan on buying a new monitor. What spec should I aim for? If you can, I would prioritize OLED if you can. So 4K, OLED, and VRR if you can swing it. OLED will change your life. It's amazing. It's fantastic. 4K obviously is kind of the standard nowadays, and then VRR is just really nice for most games that open it up to variable refresh rate. So I would encourage you to look at those. But there's a lot of great options. I mean, there's a ton. There's a ton of good options out there. Let's see. Cringe and Blue Pilled. Thank you for that. 10. Hey Luke, just found your channel after reinstalling Skyrim with RP mods. As someone who was 12 when Skyrim came out and skipped Starfield, I love all your Bethesda coverage. Safe to say, I am a fan. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you being here. Much love, much love. And yeah, I think no matter what you think of Starfield, it seems like in the next few years, there should at least be a lot to talk about. Should be a lot. Oh, here's another one. Liquid. I'm not familiar with Liquid. Creator at Team Liquid. So esports player, seems like. I was invited to Bethesda this week to attend an in-person event for Starfield. While I can't say anything because of NDAs, the trip was a great time. Got to meet a bunch of other creators and excited about the game too. Looking forward to whatever gets announced. The power armor is pretty sick. I'm gonna be real. Keep it 100. The power armor is pretty sick. Life-size statues and everything. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a lot of people. Again, no shade. I don't recognize most of this crew. But I mean, again, I think it seems like it's specifically Starfield fans and people that really like the base game. But anyway, there you go. Let's see. Sorry for SF question, but do you think the update will provide us with anything the mods haven't? Yes, apparently will be an actual overhaul to a lot of different a lot of other little tidbits and bits. So it's going to be overhauling the load systems. They're going to have new traversal stuff, but again, at the end of the day, it's still Starfield. So if you're hoping for some sort of narrative overhaul or something, it's not going to do that. It ain't going to do that. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. Luke, did you used to work at a game studio first? Let's see, found your channel, loving the content for stream. Did you used to work at a game studio? I did not. I've done a good number of, as I mentioned earlier, consultations on projects, but I am first and foremost a fan of gaming, and I am very passionate about games and did a lot of critiques for a long time. And now I stream and talk about games a lot, and I get even invited to sorry, it's not Steven Buss's comment. I get to consult on projects, which is pretty cool, and it's nice because I'm not talented enough to be a game developer. So there you go. Sorry, I saw the comment from, where was it? T Van Bus. I was invited to Hunter's Gathering playtest, but I declined because I had to use the bathroom that day. Sorry. I lost track of my train of thought. I just lost focus. That was very funny. Yeah, I'm busy that day. I gotta use the bathroom at some point, so I'm just not gonna be able to swing it. Jasper's channel, thank you again for that 5. That was nice of you. Roberto, thank you for the super chat. Quick note: "Escape will make me God" is a line said by Rampant AI from the OG Marathon games. Yes, there it is. Escape will make me God. That's what it was, and that's why it also worked as a line for the extraction shooter game, but it quickly got like twisted and spun into like, plagiarism will make me a god, art theft will make me a god, and they flooded the chat with that. It was a whole thing. Thank you for letting me know the origins. Doomwalker, they copied the brain of a fly and put it into an AI and gave it a body and moved it on its own in a virtual world. Hell yeah. Did you see that they actually got like neural tissue working in a petri dish to play Doom? Hold on. I don't know how you spell petri. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Okay, this is it. A petri dish of human brain cells just learned to play Doom. They literally got a bunch of brain cells and were able to like train it with its neurons to respond to the stimulate to play Doom. Like actual ridiculousness, actually crazy. Low-key, like, scary. Which is funny because people are like, actually, it plays it better than DSP played GoldenEye. That's crazy. An actual petri dish is outperforming him. But anyway, there you go. Scary AF. Well, it's just to remind you that at the end of the day, we are all just meat. That's it. We're just big meat bags. That's it. There you go. If it doesn't scare you, you don't understand it. Oh my God. Let's see. Iolair, thank you for that. Thank you for always holding such a wonderful space, Luke. Have checked out the new Hellraiser game. Looks very cool. I think I have it on one of my like watch lists, but I've not kept up on it recently. So I'm not, let's see. Yeah, I haven't followed any of the really recent stuff, but I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. It is on my my like wish list, watch list thing. So yeah, when there's more information about it, we will dig into it. You better believe it. Let's see. RPG Veteran says, I use Copilot at work every day. I'm a software developer at one of the corporates, and we are encouraged to use it every day, and it makes my job easy. Take it as a calculator for a finance person. Hate is forced. Well, that's interesting to hear that it's actually like gotten good enough to increase your productivity. I will say, I think this happens with a lot of like those types of tools is people try them before they're ready because they're pushing it really hard and then it's not ready. And so they're like, okay, I'm not going to use it. And they don't go back to it again. Like if you used, for example, like a ChatGPT 3 compared to the new models, it's pretty night and day what it's capable of doing. Same with any of the others like Grok or Gemini or whatever. Claude, they're constantly getting way better. So I imagine Copilot's also better. I've just never found a use for it that I have found it working better than any of the other tools. But maybe it is better at certain things than a Claude or a Gemini or something. For me, like Gemini is able to do 99% of any of the stuff I would be interested in doing, you know? who said Satya's in chat? That's funny. Aloxi, thank you for gifting 6 months of a sub to Vers Singh et Tariqs, maybe. Very generous of you. Thank you. And welcome, my friend, to the community. Get over in the Discord. We'd love to have you. Thank you. That's very, very generous. Do I think games will go back to the $60 standard? I don't know if they will generally, but I do think you'll start to see a good number of games that understand that they have to like really try. They will start to sell themselves as 60 just for the easy brownie points. Kind of like Dragon Age Veilguard did. In that case, it didn't like totally work, but that's because the game wasn't as good as it needed to be, in my opinion. But I do think that they will try to do that more and more and more. I do think you'll see that happen more frequently because it's an easy way to instantly get a ton of brownie points instantaneously, you know. Okay. Let's see. I read that one. First time hearing about Crimson Desert, and I'm excited to play it. It says it's Meegsy. Thank you for that, and I'm surprised you haven't heard about it before because I ramble about it a lot. Luke, thank you for the 5. Is there any legitimacy behind these Rockstar medieval game rumors? Yes, it was something they experimented with, but when Dan Houser did the interview with Lex Friedman, he said that they experimented with it, but it never really went anywhere. So he confirmed that it was a thing they were experimenting with, but it didn't go anywhere. Maybe it is going to go somewhere after GTA 6. We just don't know, but he did say it was something they experimented with. So maybe they'll go back to it. Melissa, thank you for that. 13 months, ooh baby. Thank you. Just a big thank you, Luke. Streams help me or help get many of us through long work days, and you are helping me get through long marathon training sessions. I'm glad I could help, and I mad respect for like marathon training sessions. One day, on my bucket list, one day I want to do a marathon. It's tough because when I do a lot of running, like if I run more than 3 to 5 miles in one go, I get like horribly pinched sciatic nerve or sciatica, where I can like barely walk and I have to go to like a physical therapist for it. It's like a whole thing. So I have like back problems that do not like extended running, but I want to build it up, get stronger so that I can eventually do a marathon. I would love to do it. Yeah, same, but 3 to 5 meters. Got to train your hip strength. Yeah, that's one thing we've been working on in the physical therapy is that we've been doing a series of stretches, and then we go into specific exercises to strengthen those muscles that we just stretched out. But my physical therapist, he was like, it just is going to take a while. He's like, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You got to really grind it out for a long time. It can take months or even years to really build it up, but that's just how it is. That's how it is. So yeah, we're trying, getting there little by little, but I respect the grind. If you're already doing it, I mean, one day I'll be there with you. One day. Let's see. Meta, thank you for the 5. Luke, do you know what's going on with New York suing Valve? Thanks for all the good vibes this Friday. Thank you for being here, my friend. And I don't really know where it's going. I think it seems, I don't know. Whenever I see New York doing any sort of lawsuit, I'm like, a lot, like, I guess I could look it up. New York.
At Joshua Cuffmaster White 2847 donated $20 through Super Chat. 1348X Voto's character looks a little weird, but other than that it looks terrible.
Sorry. Oh man. Okay, that was funny. Other than that, it looks awful. Thank you for the 20. That's very generous. And yeah, dude, 1348. When I first heard about it, like whenever it was announced, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, I was like, okay, I'm interested. Oh, this could be cool. Another medieval game. Like, okay. But yeah, man, every time they had a chance to convince me, they just didn't. And it's too bad because, I mean, it could have been cool, but it didn't seem like making just the coolest game was the top priority for them, unfortunately. But, you know, and then you got to suffer the consequences of that when people don't show up. But anyway, yeah, as for this, they allege that the lawsuit is, alleging loot boxes in in CSGO 2, TF2, Dota 2 violate New York's gambling laws. And this is one of those things where, like, okay, I understand if that's where it's predicated. My general rule of thumb is that I really don't like government involving itself heavily in my hobbies and like regulating my hobbies. So I think if you're an adult and you want to spend money on loot boxes, that's your right. I just get to make fun of you, you know? Like, I think that I get to make fun of you. The primary objection, as I understand it, as Loxy says, seems to be specifically that Valve gives away, because their excuse has always been that you are able to gamble with loot boxes and stuff, but it stays within the ecosystem. And so you get something, but it stays within the ecosystem, right? The point of the lawsuit is that there's effectively a means of liquidating your money from that system, because you're able to go, and I think it's redeem those things for Steam, whatever they're called, Steam points or credits or whatever. And you can use those credits to then go and buy a Steam Deck or Steam hardware. And then you can sell the Steam hardware on a secondary marketplace like an eBay or something for real money. And so you can effectively gamble in CSGO 2 or TF2, whatever. You can gamble in those, and then there is a way to extract money out of it. It's just one step removed. It's buying a piece of hardware and then selling it to somebody else. Which is genuinely like an interesting thing. And I am not going to pretend to be smart enough to know what the law says about that, because Valve pretty clearly thinks they have the loophole of being able to say like, well, no, we are not liquidating that. If you go and you find a way to sell your thing that you redeem from us, that's on you. Selling the Steam Deck, that's not our problem. We didn't give you that option. So we're good. Obviously, they know that that's something people are going to do, which is why they allow you to do it. But I don't know what the law says, if the law prevents that from happening. So either way, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. My knee-jerk reaction is like, please do not let 60-year-old legislators start deciding what can and can't happen in a video game. If you're an adult, you should have the right to do it. I think the way that it's supposed to work is that if it's got things like loot boxes, it should be rated M, and you shouldn't be able to buy it unless you're over the age of 18, in which case you can buy it, engage with it, and waste thousands on it if you want to. That's the American way. If you want to gamble all your money away, that's your right. I just get to make fun of you for it. I doubt anything will come out of it. Yeah, that's kind of my expectation. That's that it's probably just going to go nowhere. Yeah, Scrolls the second. I'm not sure which how to say it, but thank you for the 10. Thanks for the good vibes. Cheers to you, my friend. Much love. Valve beat a Rothschild, just saying. They have more money than you think they do. Yeah. No, they could stretch this out if they wanted to. 6-year-old try 80. Yeah, I guess if we're being completely real. Anytime I've heard people say this, they're like, oh, you should, we should get Washington to step in and like regulate what games are able to do when it comes to like live service stuff or this stuff. And I'm like, I understand that desire, but also just bear in mind that like, what is let's see. Yeah, this guy. Like Chuck Grassley is 92 years old, 5 months and 24 days. And he's been serving since 1981. And like, these are the guys that will get to decide what your video game is allowed to do or not do. And I'm like, do you really think he's gonna like do it the way you want him to? You know, do you really think he's gonna do it the way you want? I mean, even beyond that, like a lot of the people that are in like legislative positions are there because of lobbying efforts, and you better believe that like EA is going to step in and spend however many millions and millions of dollars to twist their arm and get them to do what they want, or give them an exception so that they don't have to abide by the rules. Like, unfortunately, I don't think it'll really change anything. The thing that actually does change things like verifiably is when gamers stop giving money and spending money on stuff. Then they freak out. Then they stop doing what they're doing because they can't get away with it anymore. That's when there's a real problem, is when it hurts their bottom line. I think that The market will do a much better, more effective and efficient job of adjusting a multi-billion-dollar company's behavior compared to like lobbying a congressperson to do it. You know, I just don't think that that's the best one. You know, I don't think it's that effective. Let's see. Okay, I read that one. I saw the most recent video from Moist Critical about the smell-o-vision thing for gaming. What are your thoughts on that for gaming? There's been a few different rounds of trying to do that for games. It's a fun gimmick, but yeah, I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. But yeah, I've seen stuff like that come out. It also came up with, I think, the Fractured But Whole. There was the discussion of having a smell-o-vision kind of thing for it, which is funny. But it comes up every few years. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Luke, can you provide us proof that we are in fact meat? Hashtag share the OF. Oh my God. Jesus. Thank you, the owl, for the 10. Just kidding. I'm excited for the 19th. Crimson Desert going to be awesome. Took a week off for work for it. Yeah, I respect it, my friend. Much love. And yeah, I think at this point, a lot of people have pretty much made up their minds. I don't know about you guys. My guess is that even if Crimson Desert comes out, Metacritic lands at like low 80s, high 70s, low 80s, even if it hypothetically lands there, I think it probably performs just as well as if it lands in like the low 90s. Because I think a lot of people at this point, even if like reviewers come out and leave a review being like, I really struggled with this boss, or I didn't know where to go because it wasn't guided enough, like things we heard at the previews, even if they come out and say that and they give it a lower score because of it, I think the average gamer is going to be like, okay, sucks to suck, figure it out, you know, and they're not going to be too bothered by it. Yeah. Eating a bagel right now. Shout out bagels, says Jimothy. Shout out bagels. Big ups bagels. Yeah, I love bagels. Best bagel? Asiago cheese. But not one of those where it's like little bits of Asiago. Like cover that bitch. Toast it up. Ooh, baby. Oh, baby. Dude, that hits different. I went to a Panera Bread, though, like a few weeks ago. Took my boys there while mom was in an Orange Theory class. I got us each a bagel. I ordered, them the cinnamon raisin, whatever bagels. They loved it. I opened up the bag to get my Asiago cheese bagel. Dude, this thing was bald. It had maybe 2 or 3 strands of cheese on it. I thought I was being punked. I thought like legitimate. I was like, is this like looking for a camera? Are they pranking me? Because like it wasn't a plain bagel. It was an Asiago bagel with like 3 little strands of cheese on it. That pisses me off. I was like, in this economy, Panera's trash. Panera is stupid expensive for what you get. Cancel me. I don't care. Just my opinion. I think it's stupid expensive for what it is. Like, I like me a bagel. I'll go buy it, get it toasted, and it's like $1.20. That's fine. But bro, anything else? Like I'd like a lemonade. They're like, okay, $13, please. Insane. It's insane. Ugh. Hot valve news by rarely reading chat. I'm missing hot valve news. Let's see. Chanster. Yes, thank you, Chanster. Had to dip for a bit. I'm sorry, we got backed up on stuff. Chanster with the resub, 18 months. Luke, with all this Xbox stuff going on, I thought you'd be interested in reacting to a video from Blue Thunder reviewing the lifespan of Xbox and its golden age. Just linked it to share a link in Discord. I love Blue. I was actually just chatting with Blue very recently. Love Blue. We could check that out. Maybe we'll circle back to it and do that because he's been trying to break into the YouTube stuff. Nomadsky says, my name is Bob. My friends call me Tim. Thank you, Orc, for the resub as well. Thank you. Have you seen Lords of Mysteries game by Tencent? I don't think so. Did somebody bring this up the other day? It's a popular Chinese web novel by Cuttlefish, playing steampunk, Victoria-era fantasy, Lovecraftian horror. No, I'm not familiar with this, but I'll keep the tab open. I'll look it up. Thank you. Sorry, yeah, you can read the comments about missing the comments, but not the actual comments. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you see the above comment, maybe you can look into it because it's funny. Valve beat a Rothschild patent troll lawyer recently. Oh, should we do like an actual thing on that? Like circle the time Valve beat a Rothschild. Interesting. Yeah, look at this. Valve just scored a historical win against prolific patent troll and even got 152K out of it. Wow. Yeah. Leigh Rothschild, the man who has spent decades filing over 1,200 lawsuits against everyone from Apple to small businesses, just did the finding out. A jury in Seattle sided with Valve and agreed that the Rothschild violated the Washington Patent Troll Protection Act. This win is massive. Middle finger to the industry's most prolific litigator, and it serves as a reminder to everyone: do not mess with Gabe Newell. That's crazy. Yeah, we could do a whole deep dive on that. I'll keep the tab open. That's fun. Imagine your whole life is just suing people to get them to settle, just for the easy money. Let's see. Jay, thank you for the 10. Luke, love your style and insight. I'm late to the stream. Have you discussed or talked about Denuvo DRM? Yes, we just did a whole hour on Crimson Desert. We did talk about that stuff at the end. So don't you worry. We went through that, and we'll also clip it later, so you'll see it. Let's see. The Owl, thank you for that month, by the way. I'm also excited to see what they do with Starfield. I have high hopes, but probably going to be disappointed when you when we don't get your OF. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, I think it's going to probably be less than people are expecting, but also it's going to be really shiny. It's going to look good, and then I think people will re-download it, boot it, and be like, oh yeah, it's still Starfield. That's my guess. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember why I stopped playing. I think that's probably what's gonna happen. But for people who really love Starfield, it's probably gonna really excite them and get them pumped. Okay, fam, we are going to call it there. I am glad to be back. We're going to hit the next week hard. Pow, right in the kisser. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. I cannot wait. Much love. I will be back and rocking and rolling for a regular week that's not disrupted and super crazy and no traveling. Okay, I'm so glad to be chilling. Until then, my friends, have a fantastic weekend. Have a wonderful Saturday and Sunday. I will be back on Monday. I cannot wait to see you then. And it will be wonderful. Glad to have all of you here. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.